anybody else who wants to get some good information. We've got some good information this morning. Um, Once Felice gets here, we're going to go over some polling data. We're going to talk about our projections for the race at this point, and uh, and then I'm sure we'll have a bunch of Republicans on here to tell us why data is wrong and polling is wrong and opinions are wrong. It should be a good day. Good morning, Janine. Good morning to you. Had to leave. Jones is live. I hadn't watched him live before. It was really good. There we go. Needed to turn off notifications. The hell is up, RTP? Not a lot. Not a lot is up. Thank you for checking though. Same time, same channel. Wherever you are, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. It's great to have you here. We're going to talk about Trump's. What do you call that? Do you call that an interview? Is that? Oh, I don't know what happened there. Good question, Jen. Let me switch the background again. And now my face is all blurry. What is going on here? There we go. Why is my face all blurry? Did I get something on the camera? There we go. That seems to fix it. I got the background. Shut up, Jen. Sorry, I didn't mean to say shut up. Nobody come after me for that. I just picked the wrong one. My bad. There we go. Elon and Trump, sparks fly, logic fries. Thank you, Jen, for that. I don't know. I got more texts about that than anything this election cycle. My Republican friends and my liberal friends and just people I haven't even talked to in a long time. They had a lot to say about Elon and Trump getting together last night. It was weird. It was so weird. One thing that I was astonished by is that both Trump and Elon have economics degrees. Economics. And yet Elon, at least 15 times, Elon said inflation is caused by government spending, which is silly, right? Like, you certainly could have government spending that doesn't cause inflation. You certainly could have government spending that does cause inflation. But and he kept trying to make that point over and over and over again. And I think Wharton would maybe want some of that degree back. I think Trump's economics degree was maybe from Penn, and then he went to Wharton. Is that right, Felice?
Wharton is the finance program at Penn, right?
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that
like
was at Penn.
He went to Fordham
That
in the
makes sense.
Bronx, and
Okay.
then Wharton is part of Penn, which is an Ivy League school.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was like NYU. I'm way off. There we go. Same school. Wharton may not want to put those two on the wall of fame for economics. It was one of the most economically stupid conversations I've heard. Unless you maybe got a lot out of it. Maybe you thought it was great.
Yeah, it was like I just what scares me the most, and like we can go through clips of it or talk about it, but like it's more of an indictment just on how I don't know how else to say this. I don't even mean it offensively. Just if you don't understand that conversation was two uninformed, unintelligent people waxing poetic, I don't know how to help you. And the amount of men who were like, that was the most intelligent, mind blowing conversation I've ever heard
No.
in my life on X. Like this, it explains everything. I understand why MAGA exists. Like
Yeah.
if you're that unintelligent that you don't know that two people are having a conversation who know nothing about that which they are speaking about, like
Yeah,
the
one of the things I tried to do when I was listening to it, I listened to later. I like in real time. I don't know, it just wasn't the time. So I listened to a lot of it later, and I tried to like imagine that the person speaking wasn't Trump. That this was like a person I had just heard for the first time. Uh, and when I was able to do that thanks to some help of things that are legal in our state but might not be legal in your state. And when you get rid of the fact that this is somebody who's very wealthy and has been in the public eye and who's been president, and you listen to just what they're saying, it's like, oh, this he doesn't know. He has no clue what he's talking about. It's remedial isn't like that's an insult to remedial. If that's what we called that conversation, I think remedial should be offended if we called that conversation remedial. It was just dumb. It was uninformed. It was misinformed. It was ill-informed. It was it reminded me of just trying to do a report in school, like, but you didn't read the book. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it also, and it was giving, like, Elon was Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin. Like, also, because Elon does know about certain things, right? Like, he knows a lot more about
Birth
green
rates.
energy than Trump does, and allowed Trump to say asinine things over and over and over. What never said that's incorrect. What are you talking about? And the only time Elon tried to push back, like, you could tell, part of Elon Musk does know, like, hey, what you're talking about renewable energy is delusional. Like, you don't know what you're saying. But he let it go on and on and on. But even Elon did try to push back a little bit and just be like, what are you saying? Like, but it's delusional.
Trump seemed to have developed a lisp for some reason during during that conversation. I don't
Well,
know.
it's not unlike, I mean, listen, you can say whatever you want. Ronnie Jackson did come, the Candyman did come visit him in Montana. Ronnie Jackson came all the way to Montana, and now Trump's slurring his words and breathing. Like, if you heard Ronnie Jackson, you know, the way we're always like, why is Trump sniffing? Listen to Ronnie Jackson speaking at the Montana Trump rally on Friday. Get sniffing. It's the greenies. It's provigil. like that's what it is. And then Trump is slurring. If you were on X last night, dentures was trending because people are like, are Trump's dentures too big for his mouth? He's like drooling and spitting and slurring, and no one can understand what he's saying. You're muted.
Shit, sorry. Noel Castler, who was the like kind of the first one to point out Trump's abuse. He worked on The Apprentice. Let me see if I can find this tweet. I forgot. Yeah. This I thought it was a good set of tweets from Noel Castler. He said, "Sad thing is, tomorrow the press will act like that didn't just happen. Same folks who went after Biden for weeks will ignore Trump's obvious chemical impairment, which has been going on for decades. You have my number if you grow a pair, mainstream media." But it's true. Who's reporting that today? If that was
They
Biden,
are. There, I mean, it's being reported on. Like, I
are
would
they
say,
good?
yeah, Philip, yeah, it's in our outline. I would say you can put we can put 1, 2, and 3 in the Discord. So, or not one, but 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. Like, 4 is an article that talks about how ironic it is that, you know, this somebody owns a social media site and they can't effectively log on to a live stream and have to pretend there's a DDoS attack, which still
Yeah.
there's no evidence of. Which I was listening to many engineers, you know, from the tech industry talk and just say, if there's a DDoS attack, you know, it's highly unlikely the rest of this site would be operating normally.
Can we stop
Like, that's the point. There would be like widespread outage, not just like for some reasons people can't get on this one Twitter Spaces.
We also need also pretending like nobody's trying to stop Trump from speaking. He says the same goddamn thing every time he's on stage.
Yeah, that's all he
There's
was
no
doing. He was same stuff as he mutters on stage is what he was muttering last night.
Yeah,
Same
nobody's trying to
stuff that means
silence him.
nothing.
He gets to speak whenever he wants. It's ratings gold. Every time Trump speaks, you get good ratings, and I think the reason has changed maybe a little bit. Like now we're kind of watching the same way that you watch a train wreck. But yeah, nobody's trying to silence Donald Trump. He's not saying anything. He has no policy prescriptions whatsoever. I don't think that did him much good, and that's a good segue maybe into the polling stuff. Do you want to bring
Well,
up your
wait, one,
background?
hold on
Oh,
one
go ahead.
second. I just want to say, so of all, I've read several articles, probably around 7 or 8, like analyzing the Trump Elon Musk Twitter, whatever. I wouldn't call that an interview. Musk barely was talking. But I think one of the best ones, I do love Philip Bump. He does statistical analysis mainly, but other types of quantitative analysis as well. And he wrote a column this morning called Musk's Chat with Trump was a peek inside the right wing bubble. For more than 2 hours, the ideological allies struggled to be the most prominent voice in their conversation. And I would say this is the, I would say, most accurate and fascinating analysis of what the hell that was. So I would highly recommend this article. We'll put it in the Discord. It's hilarious, but I think he correctly analyzes like what's going on with this. Wait, I wanted to read one quote or that I thought was funny. Near the end of the conversation, Musk, whose fawning credulousness, like, if that's not the truest thing ever, throughout the discussion was palpable, summarized the sheer normality of their shared worldview. Quote, if I could summarize, I think these are issues that I think most people in America would agree with, which is that we want safe and clean cities. We want secure borders. We want sensible government spending. We want to restore both the perception, the reality of respecting in the judicial system, stop the lawfare. How are, like, delusion is how I would explain this, but it's a look at this is what is going on when Trump's holding these, $10,000 a plate fundraisers
Yeah.
and what they're talking about when right-wing idiots who have money get together and just validate each other's lack of knowledge.
That's perfect. Trump, when he was trying to close up, like he used that, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And unironically didn't realize he's talking to one of a handful of people who, yes, are much better off now than they were 4 years ago. And then that person was like, yeah, that's right. So anyways, what we need to do is cut taxes for the rich and deregulate. That was what he said the whole time. Like, Elon Musk has benefited from deregulation and tax cuts as much as anybody. He saw his
He
net
said
worth
that we
grow.
haven't deregulated since Reagan. Like, what the are you talking about? The tech industry has never been regulated. They're packaging and selling our data every day. But this is the point. Like, the audacity of Republicans to lie in your face, and then the tech, like Elon Musk bros just be like, "Yep, that was genius." Really? Or was none of that factually true?
It's just, I just don't know how's that not transparent? Like, we're in a situation where, again, everybody struggled except for a handful of people, and that person is interviewing another person who didn't struggle, who makes all their money off the backs of the working class, and they're just sitting there together saying, like, you know what would go well is if we had more money, and if it was easier for us to make more money. These are the people with all the money. This is where the money is. Like, the money is meant to circulate. It's not our money. It's our country's money. It's meant to help operate our economy. And somehow, like, the rich have convinced people, like, no, this is our money and we get to keep it. And you should have a goal to keep as much money as you possibly can. And they realize that keeping that money means that we have to inject it into the poorest parts of our economy. And they also realize that money's just going to flow back up to them. This is a great system for them. It's perfect for them. They get all the benefits. They don't have any of the risk. They just benefit.
Yeah, here's another interesting part, which is funny because Philip Bump put this in his article, and I have a screenshot of it because I saw it on X last night, and I was just like, this is just a perfect example of the Republican Party moving towards non-college educated white males, right? Greg Gutfeld, who's on the Five with
Genius.
Jesse Waters, was excreting, if you will, last night. This is quote, the bigger story is that two of the most important world figures, what we're talking about is just two people with money, two Nepo babies who inherited money, by the way, not important world figures, two people who inherited money. Figures agree on the world, he wrote on social media. What's that tell you? The most consequential technical genius. Elon Musk is not a technical genius. This is a man who bought technology companies. can't code, doesn't do anything of the sort. If you thought otherwise, you would be wrong. What's that tell you? The most consequential technical genius perhaps ever and the most consequential political figure are talking about stuff on equal footing. And Trump knows everything Musk is talking about concerning energy, artificial intelligence, and economic development.
Yeah, he
Our
followed it.
other politicians, he said, would need a staff of 10 doing packets of research for each topic. These people are literally the most uninformed people I've ever heard speak on technology and politics.
Yeah, it was bad. I wish Elon would have got a real journalist. Like I'm so tired of people saying Donald Trump is like takes tough interviews. He doesn't. He freaks the fuck out at any time he's asked a difficult question. And Elon didn't even try and ask a difficult question.
No, hold on.
For
It's not that he freaks out. I just want to be clear. Any interview Trump did, including last night, because you saw Elon Musk doing it too, knowing that something Trump said was not correct and not fact checking him in real time. Any interview Trump does, it is pre agreed upon that he will not be fact checked in real time, that you cannot correct his lies in real time. That's not an interview. Like, that's not
right.
a press conference. He doesn't get any points. Like, just to have it pre agreed upon. Hey, our candidate's going to lie and say anything he feels like, and you can't point out that he's doing that.
it's part of the deal. I was reading some stuff. We probably won't get to it today, depending on what the guests look like. But I sent you a list of like lawsuits that Trump has been engaged in throughout his life, and like this is just a pattern with Trump. I'm right. Facts be damned. And if you argue with me, I'm going to use every lever I have to ruin your life. And that's why he's in this scenario now, where Donald Trump can't get on stage and tell the truth. One, because he probably doesn't know the truth. But two, it's because his entire campaign is built on these lies. And so I think that's why we're seeing the polling that we're having. Is that a good segue, or do you have more?
No, that's pretty much it. Again, this article is written by Philip Bump. It's called Musk's Chat with Trump was a peek inside the right wing bubble. I highly recommend this article.
So we've had a bunch of polling come out recently, and I went through the polling this morning, and I tried to just eliminate the partisan polls,
Do you
which
want
is
me to
easy.
add my backup for the
Please.
maps? Okay.
Yeah, please. So I tried to eliminate just like the partisan polls, and I went through each one. So the most recent nonpartisan, and when I say partisan, I mean actually funded by Republicans or Democrats. There's a poll by Democrats and a poll by Republican in Arizona, but Bloomberg Morning Consult has Harris now in Arizona at +2, Ruben Gallego at like +4. It looks like we've got a swing here in Arizona. Nevada has been a remarkable change from Trump. Bloomberg Morning Consult had Trump, I think, at 1 point +7. It's Harris +2 now. You head over to Wisconsin. You look at all the new polls that came out. You have New York Times, Siena has Harris +4, which is outside the margin of error. You have Marquette and Bloomberg with Harris at +1, +2, respectively. Wisconsin looks great. Michigan suddenly doesn't look like a swing state. Like Michigan polling looks like just solid blue. The latest polls are +11, +2, +4. Pennsylvania, where we were worried what happens if we don't pick Josh Shapiro. New York Times Siena has Harris up +4 outside the margin of error. Again, that's the only poll we've seen that's a nonpartisan poll that was updated in the last week. We go to North Carolina. That's the one place Trump is still leading in a swing state. And this one is weird to me because Republicans down ballot are doing very, very poorly. But at the top of the ticket, Trump seems to be doing okay. I will say this, there's no recent polling from any group outside of a Republican group. So
Well, let me say, I'll say I had something to add on this. Last night, this just happened a couple of minutes ago, actually. I didn't watch it last night. I watched it this morning. Rachel Maddow's episode from last night. And what she actually was specifically talking about North Carolina, and I can look up the poll if you want, but she was citing a poll and talking about how we had pretty much no chance in North Carolina specifically, and it's 46-46 in this recent poll, and she was talking about Mark Robinson and how he's dragging down the entire ticket with his like anti-Semitic, anti-woman, everything garbage. I can look real quick and see what that poll was if you
Was
want.
that the Carolina Journal Signal poll? Plus five,
That's it could
Harris
probably.
or Stein plus five. Does that sound right?
Oh, I don't know about. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that's why it's interesting. So you look at every poll that's come out for governor. You have Stein plus five, plus six, and plus one, but the plus one was from June, so it's a massive swing. So the two most recent are plus six and plus five, and yet Trump leads the top of that ticket for president. So that'll be interesting. And North Carolina still looks like it's Trump country according to the polls, and Georgia has now moved into a toss-up. Bloomberg and Fabrizio both have it as a tie. PPP, which is a Democrat-run poll, has Harris plus one, and Trafalgar has Trump plus two. So that one looks to be in a dead heat. But I went through the maps, and I'll do. I think. How do I make? I think I
This is
hit
the
it.
first one you sent me. Democrats 304.
Okay.
It doesn't get bigger. Remember we went over this?
No, the map definitely is bigger now. It's definitely a little bigger. So this is, if you look at current polling, this is where we stand for the presidential election. You can see Nevada, Arizona in blue, Georgia in blue, Pennsylvania in blue, and I have Virginia in blue as well. That's what current polling says. Democrats win 304 to 234. The next one I sent you, Felice, was
This one.
oh,
Well, you
this one.
sent
Oh,
me one
okay.
and you said
Yeah.
not this one, this one. Yeah, this is the second one you said was the right one.
Yeah, now this is me leaning Trump's way. So even if I take polls that right now are favoring Harris, but they're close, I lean Trump's way. So we give Trump Nevada, Arizona, we give him Georgia, we give him North Carolina. I think those were the only ones that we needed to switch. You still have Republicans in a losing position here. Republicans cannot win unless they get Pennsylvania, and that is running away. Pennsylvania and Michigan, they're two spots. They've got to get one of those states. Those are both running away. So we have a close election there at 271 to 267. And then here's the third one. And this was based on, this is the trend. So if I just take the current trends of where the polls are going and I push them out until November, this is what the map looks like. Do you have that third one?
No, I thought I'm confused what the third one. Can you resend me the third one? Because you sent me only three things. The second one you sent, you said, "Oh, not this one, this one."
Oh, I sent you
So
the
I
same one
thought
twice. Oh,
I'm
weird.
con.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's my
don't. You,
that's my
you made a
bad.
mistake. You didn't send me a third one. Though. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Neat. Let me see if I can pull that up and I'll send it to you. Um, let's do this. Give me a second. Sorry, guys.
Guys, tap the screen. Tap the screen. If you would, well, we can't. I hate being in these small boxes. It gives me anxiety. I'll do it later. But but yeah, just keep tapping the screen, guys. If you would like to follow us on YouTube, we would highly appreciate it. It's RTP Talks. And if you would like a link to the Discord, all the articles we go over, all of the information we put in the Discord. So if you would like an invite to the Discord, message Jay or Jen. I do not check my messages, so if you message me, do not be offended. I have no idea.
All right, I just
And
sent. Oh, sorry.
we are taking opposition. So if for all the people who are in the comments extremely triggered, saying random things, you can come up here and talk to us about it.
So now remember, this is right now best case scenario for the Republicans is that it's close, but they lose. That is their best case scenario currently. This next one, again, like I said, what I did is I just took the trends of where the polls are going and I extended those out. I also have been looking at historical data. I think it's fair to compare the 2020 election and this election, just given that now we do have a black candidate, and that does matter in some places. If you, especially when it comes to voter turnout for not only black communities but for women and other minority communities, they tend to show up more when there are people of color on the ballot. So if trends were to keep going, you'll see Democrats would pick up Florida, they would get North Carolina, and shockingly, up there in the Midwest, Ohio. All of those states, Ohio and Florida, are both trending pretty quickly back towards a very close race. And I think that has to do with accurate polling, better pollsters now entering into these states and conducting polling. But that would leave Democrats 367 to 171. Either way, when you ask why Trump is spiraling, these are the numbers he has too. His team knows this. His team knows that right now, in their best case scenario, they lose. So I'll go back to that. There we go. And that was all I had on that.
Much better. Yeah, so the polls are, well, I have some things. As long as we're here, what was it? I wanted to play a couple. Do you want to hear? I thought I have a couple of things I wanted to play if
Yeah, let me
you
just make
have time for it.
let me just make an announcement real quick. Jen just wants to remind you guys, if you're in the box and you are not opposition, please hop out of the box, but do come back on Friday when we take friendly calls at 11:30 on Friday, 11:30 Pacific time on Friday. So if you're in the box, you're not opposition, please hop out, and then we'll talk to you on Friday. Go ahead.
Yeah, 11:30 Pacific time on Friday. Yeah. I wanted to go over, well, first of all, I thought people were asking yesterday about ProPublica's latest article. It's just more proof that Trump's a liar about having no idea about Project 2025. Like, all ProPublica got a hold of all these Project 2025 training videos that are of the 20, I think 30 something videos or something they got a hold of, 36 videos. 29 of the people are people that work for Trump and the Trump administration, describing the future Trump administration. And Rachel Maddow did a good job covering this. Again, that article's 5. We can put that in the Discord. And then another article I just want to highlight that is really important that she also highlighted, but I suggest everyone read. I keep harping on Russell Vogt, and now everyone needs to look into who this guy is. He's a self-professed Christian nationalist that works for Trump. He's one of the Project 2025 architects. He was in charge this year of the Republican policy platform, and he is literally being considered, and that's what this AP article goes over, among other terrifying things. It's called Russell Vogt, a Project 2025 architect, is ready to shock Washington if Trump wins second term. He's being considered for chief of staff now. And this just takes you through his long, sordid love of Christian nationalism, what he's done for Trump in the past, what he did for Project 2025, what he did for the Republican policy platform, what a devout, crazed Christian nationalist he is, and what he's going to do in the future. So I think it's just important to highlight these two. And again, if you want, Rachel Maddow was going over this last night. And one other thing I just want to get to, this is a think tank in Washington, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. It's a premier think tank in Washington. These are pretty genius people, but they just came out with a 112-page report that Rachel Maddow also highlighted last night. It's called Election Certification Under Threat, a legal roadmap to protect the 2024 election from 35 officials who have refused to certify the results. And this is broken down swing state by swing state of the election threats, and then recommendations of how to safeguard against people trying to not certify the results, and essentially, all the way up to the fake elector scheme. Again, this is just over 100 pages. I have not read it yet. This just came out. The link to it just came out last night, but I think this is it's
They're doing it in
under
Arizona
28.
right now. They're testing it right now in Arizona. Is it in? I don't remember. I think it's in Yuma County.
Cochise?
Is it Cochise County? Is that what it
Cochise
is?
is where they didn't certify last time. That's the one where they threatened to. Cochise is the one they did last time.
I can't remember where this one is. I'd have to find out. I think it was a special election, but the person who lost is claiming like, oh, we need to investigate this. And their evidence, by the way, is that a larger number of people voted in person that were from the left than normal. So more people from the right voted by mail. That's their entire evidence that more people voted a different way this time than last time, and now they're trying to open an investigation based solely on that. There's no evidence that anybody cheated. It's just that people voted a little bit differently this time than last time, and now that's an election, and they're trying to get them to refuse to certify the special election. I'll figure out the names of who it was. I read it yesterday.
Yeah, so election certification under threat. This is what the report looks like. And then you can see that it goes into introduction and recommendations, state by state analysis, of every swing state, federal legal remedies. So many people have been asking and worried, what are we going to do? What's the latest? Like, this is essentially one of the most extensive and informed plans and analysis yet to date of what we need to do to safeguard our elections. I think that this is a wealth of information. Just a little bit that they were talking about last night on his name's Noah Bookbinder, the guy who runs this think tank, and he's a genius. So yeah, I'm going to be
You said it
reading
was
this.
Crew, right?
I
Crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crew. I'm going to be reading this. This is 28 in the article, so we can put this in this report in the Discord. The PDF is there along with more information on Crew's website. But I do think since so many people have been worried about the certification of the election, this is going to be one of your best resources. And then the second best would be Democracy Docket. You don't have to pay for a subscription, but Elias Law Firm is the one fighting the voting rights claims and the attempts to not certify the election in courts in swing states. And he gives regular updates, more detailed ones if you do subscribe to him. But yeah, so those are my two recommendations for everyone worried about Project 2025, the certification of the elections, etc.
I need to read just some comments from yesterday from when my internet
Oh,
went
so
down.
yeah.
So I apologize. Yesterday, if you guys weren't here, my internet crashed. It finally came back on around 5 o'clock. Crispin says, seems like Trump has groupies that follow him to each of his rallies. Same people. Kamala has tons of fans in each city. She's a fucking rock star. I might have read that, but I like that one. Anyways, Lisa said, hey, I was so excited for you guys that you went to the rally. Can you please tell us about it? I think we did tell you about that yesterday. I was shocked at how good it was. Jackie says, I'm paying you to drop Hoodie, please. The show has 1,000 times more value without him. I'm sorry that I didn't see that, Jackie. Sorry, that's an internet problem. Soli says, what did Cinderella do when she got to the ball?
What?
Jesus.
What is it? I knew it was something weird.
She
What is
gagged.
it?
Jesus. There are, Tracy said there are trans people that do drag, but there are also straight guys and women to do it. That was to the person who yesterday started confusing drag with being trans. So thank you for that.
Trans is about your gender identity. Right?
Yeah.
Your gender identity doesn't need to be in question to do drag. Like straight people can do drag. Like you know what I'm saying? It doesn't even mean
JD
your
Vance
sexual
can do it.
orientation has to be not straight to do drag. Anybody could dress in drag for any reason. Like JD Vance.
Yeah. Laura said, what lights up a tennis court? A tennis match.
That's true. Oh, I get it. I just got it.
Sarah Beth said, I wish I could give you more money. Everything about this live is priceless. Thank you for that. And then Brian this morning said, what's your consensus if certain states' legislatures refuse to certify the election results? If they're able to kick this to the House, we lose. Your thoughts on this possible catastrophe? Thank you all. Thank you both for all that you do.
Was that about certifying the election?
Yeah, so
sorry, I kind of tuned in.
What's your
at the-
consensus if certain states' legislators refuse to certify the election results?
Read the crew report because that's exactly what that analysis is about. And then the risk in each swing state of not being certified, identifying specific people in states they're worried about not certifying, and then recommendations about what to do about that. But absolutely, like what's to be understood about the motivation to not certify the election results is that Republicans cannot win, right? They're getting to a point they definitely can't win the popular vote. They're struggling to win the electoral college votes. Even with suppressing the vote and gerrymandering, they're still struggling to win. They're not winning the majority of their voting rights challenges in courts. So in the Republicans' mind, yes, either the legislature or the courts deciding the presidential election, they like their chances better, right?
Yeah.
Their chances are better in the courts or with Congress.
It's their only chance. Yeah. That's not to say I don't think their chances in the courts are good, but it is better than letting people vote and make that decision. Kristen says, "Is there anything MAGAs are not afraid of?" I don't. I haven't found something yet. Gianna said, "Thank you for standing up for trans rights. Made my day." Thank you, Gianna, for the donation and the support. Cindy said, "Go look at Messiah's page. Scary, weird." I don't remember who Messiah was. And then Ima said, "Jared Kushner borrowed $1 billion from Freddie Mac. Is that fair?" Probably not. That was a bad deal too. When he borrowed $1 billion from Freddie Mac, they lost a fortune on that deal.
That was another one from last night, which by the way, this picture you're like, what? Oh, wait, no. I
Oh
needed
shit!
why
I thought
did
you were
you
done
do
with it.
this?
Sorry, I'm sorry. I thought you were done with it.
No.
Bring it back up. Sorry.
Do you know how long it takes me to do that? Like this? It's so annoying.
Sorry. No, I don't know how long it takes. That long. It took that long. I apologize. Wait, why is it not pulling up?
I requested.
I'm There we go. All right, go ahead. Sorry. For those for those that are opposition waiting, we'll get to you in just a second. We just wanted to cover a couple stories,
Yeah.
and we had some complications yesterday, so we wanted to make sure we got through our comments as well.
Oh, I have some more commentary, but I just wanted to go through a couple of things. This is literally what Trump's couldn't, what they couldn't log on to a live stream last night. It says Twitter engineers logging on ahead of Elon Trump's space, basically pouring buckets of water on the electronics. But this is so funny. Do you guys remember DeSantis did his like campaign launch on Twitter. Do you guys remember this? And it was a complete disaster. Well, Kamala HQ is on True Social, and I think my troll account on True Social is pretty funny, but it's funny that she's on True Social driving people crazy. You can see it says Kamala HQ on True Social, and she read truth when Trump was mocking DeSantis because his Twitter launch was a disaster. That the irony is not lost on us now. Like he has become a hypocrite. Also, if anybody was in that spaces last night, Margarine was in there the entire time, and not a troll account pretending to be Margarine. Margarine. I have to I This is the thing, this is one of the things I just have to show you guys. So Midas Touch, this is a chat bot, right? So there's a YouTube channel streaming the Elon Trump spaces. Here's the auto summary that YouTube's AI chat bot put together based on the viewer comments. Okay, so it like the Twitter spaces is streaming, and this chat bot on YouTube is analyzing all of the comments. And this is what the chat bot said. Viewers are reacting to a boring interview between Elon Musk and former President Donald Trump, where the two are not engaging in any policy talk and Trump appears to be having slurred speech. Many are expressing their disappointment with the interview and calling for it to move on to a different topic. I just thought, hey, AI got it right there, like
It was
that's
the
spot
same
on.
4 topics over and over and over again.
It was just
Yeah, it
Trump
was
kept
so
repeating it.
stupid. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't blame Elon for that. That was more Trump. Like
Oh
Trump
yeah.
was just rambling, and then Elon just did it. It was Tucker and Putin all over
I,
again.
I kind
That's
of
what it
give
was.
I kind of want to give Elon credit for pretending that was interesting past the first 5 minutes. He did his acting was incredible last night. He just pretended
Yeah.
like Trump didn't just keep repeating the same thing over and over, regardless of what question was asked. I guess there weren't really any questions that were asked. Just every once
Oh,
in a
and
while,
guys,
Elon
the
would say "good point," and then Trump would ramble some more.
yeah, he'd be like, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah. Like that's the main words. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what Elon was saying. That was 28 through 23 in the section on this in the outline. We can just put this stuff in the Discord. And then these are just funny clips. We can put the whole section in the Discord. I just want to try to get I'm sorry, I just think these are funny. I just want to try to get more stuff in the Discord. I'm trying to remember if any of this.
Just trying to spam the
This
Discord.
is what Trump actually looked like at Mar-a-Lago
Why?
while
Why
he
don't
was
they?
on this live.
I'm always surprised that they do these interviews on speakerphone every time. Like, why not get a mic? I've never understood that. I don't know why they insist on this every single time.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's just, and then they were putting out clips of this, and he just looks crazier and crazier. Yeah, it was very. Here's the clip I need to play for you guys. Like, this is how I know MAGA's not doing well. Like, please, the Benny Show. Listen to what this is
That
right
Benny
after the
Johnson.
live. Yes, this is right
Okay.
after the live stream ended. Just everyone, this is where MAGA's at.
She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride. I saw a picture of her on Time Mag.
Oh wait, hold on. That's not the right one. I just want to make
Again, I told you that.
sure. Sorry. We'll get there. Oh, this is it. Okay. This is right after the live stream ended, and they're kind of like all downloading.
Oh, oh. You are muted, by the way.
Amazing, ladies and
That
gentlemen.
was, yeah, that was
We are-
nuts.
We are muted because we don't want to talk. We don't even want to laugh over stuff like this. We learned the hard way to not let it rip when two guys like Elon Musk and Donald Trump are talking together. That was the most fascinating conversation I have ever heard in my entire life.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
they're-
believe him. I
That's
believe
true.
him.
Their job is these are the fluffers, right? So they've learned that nobody's there for them. It's just their job. Anytime Trump or Elon Musk isn't on screen, to just keep their image erect. Maybe that's a good way to say it.
Right.
That's
These are
their
Trump's
only
flavor,
job.
but truly, that was the
cup
most
their
intelligent
arguments.
conversation these gentlemen have ever heard.
It was remarkably stupid. Yeah, the Benny Johnson's a joke. But this is the thing with MAGA is that you have to be Benny Johnson to have any credibility with MAGA. Like anything other than like an Elon Musk throat goat, full throat. What did he say? Deep throat, full throat. I can't remember something like that. That's the only level of analysis that you can have if your fan base is MAGA. You're not allowed to say that was fucking weird. That was 2 hours of weird. Why was that so weird? You can't say that. You just have to pretend that was amazing.
It was just like, these guys just truly fascinating. Let me just read these comments and then we're ready to go.
I like that everybody's correcting that it's full throated. I know what he said. I just wanted to say deep throated.
Full throated. Carmel says, if you guys are interested in a political debate challenge, send a request to this guy. His name is Mike, and he's in. Okay, we have to have a talk about this. There are not an endless amount of characters. I would say there's probably like 140 max, but probably think there's like 100. So I don't know. I mean, I got send requests to this guy at SC Local 23. His name is Mike, and he's in, and I don't know what else that says because
He's
there's
in
only
for
a
a
few
treat.
characters.
That's what they were going to say. He's in for a treat.
Yeah. Well, if you want this information, I have it for you. We don't. Mark says, no jokes today. Just wanted to say that you guys are. Oh, Sully. Thank you, Sully. No, you're amazing. Raul says, Trump was talking like that because too much cookie dough was coming out of his mouth. I know, it sounded like that. Yehoy Manoy says, let's keep this momentum going, friends. Don't let anything wear you down. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you.
Kimmy just says a little limerick for you. There once was a man named Kildare who his wife on the stair. The banister broke, so he lengthened his stroke and finished her off in midair. Yep, that was some great
an old Irish
wordsmithing.
poem.
Yeah.
Not one of the ones that Biden quotes all the time, but
I won't do it right now. I have a great joke similar to that. We'll do it another time. All right. Let's get to the guests. True Investments. It pays to be loud. I was told that you were the loudest in the comments, so you're first. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you? What's True
Pretty good.
Investments? What does that mean?
Well, I'm a real estate agent. I do that part time.
What? Oh, okay. So you just you truly invest. I like that. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I will say I am a Trump supporter, and y'all are talking smack about the interview, but I can tell you that was a pretty good interview. It showed that Trump is very likable. That's why we like him. And
Why do you like him?
well, he's a businessman, just like me. He knows
Do you like
how to run
do you
a
like all
business.
businessmen?
Yeah, if they run a business, and
Any business? Anybody? So you like big fan of Bill Gates?
nope, not Bill Gates.
Not Bill
him.
Gates. Gotcha. Jeffrey Epstein. Were you a big fan of Jeffrey
not an
Epstein?
actual technical genius. Not someone who could actually code. Just fake people who inherit money and acquire businesses.
What about Mark Cuban? Do you like Mark Cuban?
No, I don't like that guy.
No. It kind of
It-
seems
but
like
that-
you
it
only
don't
like
matter. Look, it don't
Republican
matter.
businessmen is what it seems like. It kind of seems like if somebody is on the left and they run a business, you don't like them, right?
Well, Trump knows how to bring down inflammation, bring
Inflammation?
down gas prices.
That's
Bring down the gas
rice.
prices.
That's rice. It's rest, ice, compression, elevation. That's how you bring down inflammation.
What do you mean?
Well, you said inflammation, and I think you meant inflation. So I was making a
Oh,
joke that in order to get inflammation out of your bodies, you want to rest, ice, compress, and elevate, and that helps bring down the swelling. But
I
yeah.
don't know why. All right. Well, anyway,
Did Trump bring down inflation when he was president, or did inflation
yes, he
go
did.
up?
He brought down inflation. He brought down
Unfortunately, inflation did go up under Trump. So
Nope.
I maybe he just forgot how to do it when he was president.
wrong.
Nope. This isn't. You can't just say no to
When
things that
Trump
you don't
was in
like.
office, there is no unemployment.
There was
had-
unemployment.
Well, black unemployment was down to record lows.
It's lower
We had-
now.
We had almost no inflations.
No, we did. Inflation is not plural. Sir, it concerns me that you don't know what any of these words mean.
By the way,
It concerns
Biden.
me, sir. It concerns me, sir, that you don't
excuse
seem
me,
to.
I'm talking.
No, you're not. I'm talking. It concerns me, sir, that you don't seem to know what any of these words mean.
I do.
Well, okay. What's inflation?
When the prices go up.
Well, so, but what is inflation?
When the prices go up.
If
I
we're
told
talking,
you.
if we're measuring inflation
already told
on
you.
our economy, it's more than just prices going up, right?
Oil,
Oil.
real estate, house.
This is
Real
the
estate.
Trump special. This
No, by
is the
the way,
Trump. This is
what-
the Trump special.
What level
Yeah.
of inflation should we have? Like, how much inflation should we have? What do most economists agree on is the appropriate level of inflation?
About 2%.
Between 2 and
Sorry,
3%. Between
Yeah.
2 and 3%. Yeah. Did
You
Trump?
got it. Good
Yeah.
job.
And where are we at right now with inflation?
About 7%.
Around 3%. Yeah, sorry about that, pal.
Well,
7 was
that's what
incorrect.
I'm saying. That's what I said. It's too high.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, but you also said
another
7.
reason why.
But you
I
also
think-
said 7.
No,
Now
it's not
excuse me,
7,
I'm
sir.
talking.
Now let's get back. No,
Excuse
I'm
me.
talking. Excuse me, I'm talking. Thank you. Now, what caused the inflation? What caused the inflation that we had? I agree with you. We had really high inflation under Biden. What caused it?
Well, just like Trump said last night, oil.
Well,
caused
that's
inflation.
stupid because that doesn't make any sense. So, how did oil cause inflation?
Biden wasn't drilling. We got to drill.
Biden has drilled more oil than Trump did, so that's a problem. So, how did we drill
That's
more
concerning.
oil?
You don't know that.
How did we drill for more oil under Biden, and yet somehow inflation went up? How did that happen?
Well,
Yeah.
it has to do with like Elon Musk had, right? He knows,
Could it had to
he
do
knows
anything
his-
with COVID? Do you think COVID
Nope.
had anything to do with it?
COVID was a hoax, sir.
Okay, how come every country in the entire world suffered from inflation then? If it was really just about
were-
drilling oil in America.
Because it was Biden in office, not no
Because
Trump.
it was Biden. So because Biden was in office, the whole world just all of a sudden everything went up. Biden didn't. Now, what
Well,
changes
they
did
try to
Biden make?
now they try to take away from the race, like in the coup.
I don't think you're real. I'm pretty sure you're parody. There's no way you're real.
Nancy Pelosi tried to take away Biden.
No, there's no way you're real, right? Like, there's not. This isn't really your opinion, right? Just level with me, because if you look, you got me. If this is a joke, well done. People have done it before, and I applaud it. If this is not a joke, this is devastating.
Well, I hope y'all vote for Trump. Just like
But is this not a joke?
We had record numbers.
I know, but is this not a joke? This
All
is
right,
your. These are your
I'm
real
praying for
thoughts.
you. I'm praying for y'all. I
Yeah,
don't know what
I
y'all doing.
appreciate it, brother. Have a good day.
What
I
just
really.
happened?
There's no way that was real, right?
No, but even if that he was not serious, I mean, there are many people that agree with every word he just said. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Just the way he said, Trump said oil, because you were there last night. Like, I mean, Trump is like, yeah, the reason inflation went up is because energy.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck
I think
are
he said
you talking
oil, yeah.
about? Like, did you live through the pandemic and the supply chain breakdown? Like, that's why inflation happened, and that's why it's ironed out, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, we're holding interest rates high to stabilize the housing market, but the reason inflation has come down and our rebound from the pandemic has largely been due to ironing out supply chain and labor issues. And Trump can't communicate that. All he says every time is either inflation is because of energy, or he says inflation is high because oil. But he can't even then articulate what that means.
Yeah, brilliant. Ridge, you're there. Jen, let me know if this doesn't fix the layout, and I'll bring another person up. Hey, Ridge.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, so I saw a thing the other day and just kind of wanted to hear what y'all thought about this. So I'm in a state. I'm in Louisiana, and we're very big on natural gas and LNGs and all that stuff. And I saw this, like, I don't know, a couple months ago about Kamala Harris talking about how she's now, or she was wanting to ban fracking, and then now she's not. And really the biggest question was, so Pennsylvania is like, I think I read it's like the second largest LNG state in the country. And
Yep, definitely.
and what I was thinking about is, okay, so is it going to affect some people and maybe the swing on Pennsylvania? Because I mean, I could say that Pennsylvania is probably one of the most vital states to win over, being that their electoral college votes are I don't know what's the number for their electoral college votes. It's pretty high, right?
It's 19, if I remember right.
Okay. So winning that one is pretty big. What do you think Kamala Harris's stance is now that the Biden administration is like doubling down on shutting down or putting a pause on LNGs?
I don't.
Yeah.
are
So
they
I,
doing that?
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Well, 2 weeks ago, so yeah, in the 2020 primary, when she was trying to be left of Biden, right, position herself as a progressive, she said she wanted to ban fracking, which I did a thing on this. I doubt you probably saw it, but I was talking about this and doing some research, and actually in 2020 when her position was to ban fracking, it wasn't. This is a statistical analysis, so take this for what you will. It wasn't some crazy position back then, right? 52% of people in the country wanted to ban fracking at that time. Apparently, this was a analysis done by the Washington Post. So it wasn't that weird of a position, but this is just 2 weeks ago, and this is a Politico article called Harris Campaign Pledges She Won't Ban Fracking. Like probably a week after she became the candidate, her campaign came out and said this. So that's the best we have. There's an article in the Washington Post today. It's something like Harris can't escape her like anti-fracking past or something. But the polling in Pennsylvania says otherwise, right?
Right. Yeah, so like this article that I read today, it's called energyindepth.org, and it just says LNG pause, does Harris stand with her administration or energy voters? So like I don't know if I heard this wrong or not, but is she for the what is it, clean energy side, or is she going to back with obviously she's not backing Biden. I mean, we could say that, right?
I don't think it's one or the other, right? Like renewable energy is the future, right? And that's what we see. The transition to it is inevitable, and the reason we need to focus on renewables, in my mind, because in the world market, China's dominating the renewable energy market, and we need to get a piece of that, or we have a problem with America's future. So renewable energy is the future, but that doesn't mean oil and gas goes away, right? We will be on oil and gas for decades and decades to come, right? I think it's just something that comes up in elections when people start saying, oh, what is it? Are you oil and gas or are you renewable energy? Like our future is in renewables, but I support the oil and gas industry. I don't want it to hurt the environment, and I think we need to strike a balance there.
Yeah, I have this, like, now that I work in this industry, I can kind of see, like, especially where I live, the impact on having these LNGs is like huge, because where I'm from, we have a lot of plants that I mean they rely on the natural gas to even run the plant, so it's kind of like if that were to.
But what if it didn't, right? Then would you be okay banning fracking? Like, what if renewable energy got to a point where you didn't need to rely on LNG to power these plants?
Yeah, I mean,
because that's really this is where I think the discussion gets lost. It's like that there's only to a lot of people it seems there's two answers: either eliminate fossil fuels completely or dive headfirst into more fossil fuels, and both of those answers are silly. We have to use fossil fuels, we have to use LNG in order to build our infrastructure for renewable energy. We should phase it out. Like I was thinking about this last night when they were talking, I think it was on the Trump thing, they were talking about global warming when Trump started talking about the oceans rising. And my thought was, like, even if global warming, that part of climate change, was a hoax, I would still support clean energy. I would still support clean air, clean water, not destroying our natural habitats. I still think clean energy is the right thing to do, and it's going to be more cost effective. And I think that's sometimes where we get lost. Like, should fracking be banned? Yeah, eventually. When we no longer need it to sustain our economy or our infrastructure, or then we can ban fracking. But until then, we may not be able to. So if a politician says, I want to ban fracking, but I want to do it by creating renewable energy to replace it, I'm fine with that. If they say, I want to ban fracking right now, and you don't have anything else in place to power the United States, then it's a problem.
Right. So do you think her stance is more on the lines of trying to push towards, I mean, in certain places it's going to take a while before it's a balance of having both, and then transitioning into more of the clean energy side. But do you think that that's her stance and that's what she's going towards? It has
to be, because in order to make any of these changes, she's going to need Congress, and then that's where Congress is right now. Like it or not, most people in Congress aren't ready to just ditch fossil fuels and say, let's just jump headfirst into renewable energy and see what happens. I don't think it's practical. I don't think Americans as a whole think that. I think this is one of those issues that we weirdly have like bipartisan support, but the messaging from the candidates, it doesn't reflect the views of the voting populace. Like, most of us all agree we'd like to get off fossil fuels, but we can't get off fossil fuels until we can get off fossil fuels. And then you have one side saying all we want to do is drill and frack and pour oil into the ocean, and the other side's like, all these commies want to do is get rid of gas right now and have wind powered cars. And the truth of the matter is far more in the middle.
Yeah.
Like Kamala wants to get rid of cows, like so people can't eat meat because it's hurting the environment. Like something she's never ever said. I just want to say, and the other way to think about this in the future is the United States. We have the #1 gross domestic product, but as the inevitable transfer to renewable energy starts, like we have to compete with China, who has a huge foothold in this industry, in solar, in electric cars, and are producing them at a much cheaper rate. The government is subsidizing their markets in a way we've almost never seen. It's like market manipulation. So we are going to have to compete with that.
Right.
That's what we have to look at. That's why we need to see a rise in our renewable energy and production of it, and how we sell it to the rest of the world, because we have to compete with that.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue that China is probably, I guess you could word it in a way like more advanced, or more towards the, like y'all said. I mean, it's like not necessarily world domination, but like you said, they're leading in renewable energy, and that's something that you got to fight with, being a total different country and different stance on things.
Well, they don't have a massive oil lobby that is bought and paid for their government, right? The only reason we're behind China when it comes to renewable energy is gas and oil. Right. What I would love to see is these gas and oil companies commit to changing to renewable energy and getting on board with it. But there's so much that they have in infrastructure that they're just saying like, no. We need to keep drilling oil. And for Republicans, because it's become this hot button, Republicans can't even, for a long time, you couldn't even like be a Republican and drive an electric car. It wasn't really until Elon started being like an open anti-Semite that like Republicans are like, all right, now we can drive, which we're not saying that all Republicans are anti-Semitic, but weirdly, like that's when it happened. He went on Rogan, he started espousing right-wing views, and then suddenly you see a bunch of right-wingers driving Teslas.
Yeah, no,
That's hilarious.
I don't have any opinion on electric cars, or I mean, drive what you want. It doesn't really. I say it doesn't really affect me because, it's not really that big of a deal. Like that, what car you drive is not really that big of an issue. But so
you guys just got cars in Louisiana, so this is probably all new to you, right?
Wait, got what?
I'm just kidding.
No, well, they have ghost buses. They have ghost buses.
I said you guys
Clay
just got
Higgins.
cars there, didn't you? In Louisiana, they just showed up.
But no, so So really, I think the bigger issue on looking at all this stuff and seeing it is how much of an impact. So Jay, I know you just said something about it would be awesome if all these oil and gas companies would go and start transitioning to the clean energy and doing all that, but the infrastructure is so big that they won't commit to it. What do you think that would, like, let's say they were going to transfer, or let's just say they were completely going to just shut down everything, which I don't think they would, but let's say they
They're
do
not.
it in
They have
pieces.
R&D going. Like, right? Like these huge companies, especially large fossil fuel companies, they are working in renewable energies and
Yeah.
they are planning their transfer to the next step. I just want to cite a source because this is something I was reading. It's number 12. We can put it in the Discord in the articles. It's called "This Oil Tycoon Brings in Millions for Trump." This is the guy that's setting the oil and gas policy for Trump, that's dragging him and keeping him in oil and gas. Because you saw the push and pull. I will say the one thing I could see Elon Musk doing is he has a more forward looking view of the future and of renewable energies and of how this transition needs to occur. And Trump can't even fathom it. And what you saw is Trump is being held by billionaire money. You know, when Trump said in that quid pro quo meeting, find me a billion, pool your resources, and I'll deregulate oil and gas and give you guys whatever you want. It's Harold Hamm that is this billionaire that's bringing in the money. I highly suggest everyone read this article, but this is why Trump is stuck in oil and gas and not so forward looking. And Elon Musk was saying, "Hey, we don't need to demonize anyone. Oil and gas will be around for a long time. No one needs to panic, but like this transition is happening." I did agree with Elon saying that.
Yeah. I think it's more of I mean, I don't think anybody that works in the industry would turn down or leave their workplace due to transferring from fossil fuels over to clean energy or anything. But I
It's
mean,
probably not as, I mean, the work it definitely isn't as hard. You
no,
don't have
yeah,
guys out
I
there
mean,
risking their
absolutely.
lives on oil rigs. Yeah.
Absolutely. The main thing is if they do start, portioning it out and going and shutting down these LNGs and doing all that, that's a big impact on people without jobs. I think the main thing is the turnaround time. How long is it gonna take them to build up? Like, I know around here it's really popular now. It's going
Well,
on
you
now.
guys will be late. So in Louisiana, you guys are going to be late because you're already behind. Like in
Right.
California, we're obviously California now feels like in 2035 they can make a rule where no new cars can be bought that are gas powered. They all have to be clean energy cars. So some states are going to be ahead. It's going to be a slow rollout, and in a place like Pennsylvania, the thing we have to remember is that every 2 years there's an election in Pennsylvania. And if
Yeah.
Pennsylvania isn't ready to switch to renewable energy, their politicians aren't going to leave. I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of jobs. I don't know if it's probably not millions, and it might be in Pennsylvania, but I'd say probably hundreds of thousands of jobs. They're not just going to pull those out from under the people of their state. So as long as there are politicians running for office, I think it will be a slow rollout. Red states are going to be probably late on it. Blue
Right.
states are going to be a little early. That's kind of how this works.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking about that on the topic. Is it really just the turnaround on, if they were to shut them down? But I mean, as of right now, knowing the stance on really both parties to not ban the fracking, but work. I know, like y'all said on Harris's side, that she's definitely gonna try to balance or try to work towards a balance in a lot of states, because I mean, you got to be honest with yourself and say that at least probably half of the states are already behind this clean energy wave that's coming in, and it'll probably, I mean, do you even think that it could get the ball rolling if she wins, you know?
I mean, I think it's gonna roll out on more of a state
Ball's
level.
rolling.
I don't think we have enough consensus to really roll anything out on a federal level right now. To be honest, I think it's gonna have to be state by state until
It
there's
doesn't matter
consensus.
who's, yeah, it Congress, the makeup of Congress matters, right? Like
Yeah.
the president can't do much without Congress.
Yeah, because I just totally forgot what y'all said at the beginning, but it just hit me that she's gonna have to go in and reword it, I guess you could say, to Congress to get them to start passing something that'll go towards that clean energy way. Because
I don't think it'll be a big push from her. I'm guessing that this isn't going to be a big push, just because like
Yeah.
logistically it's really difficult. States do have rights; they do control those types of things. I just don't imagine. I just don't think we're there yet, where this is going to be on a national stage a big issue that they push. Like they'll continue their initiatives that they've already rolled out through infrastructure, and they may expound on them. But I can't imagine we see this being like a focal point of the Harris administration.
Yeah. Cause so why do y'all think that it's not a big push to get towards renewable energy with, I mean, I don't know what the stats are, what the stats say, but like a competitor with China, and no, it may not be that big of an issue or any kind of conflict or anything, but why would it not be a big push to be more towards renewable energy and be one of the leaders in the world to be pushing out renewable energy?
Well, I think we are one of the leaders in the world, but again, like we have to have the infrastructure to support it, and so the rollout has to be timed to go along with the infrastructure that we're building, and there's a lag. And so any type of growth in this market, like it's not going to be immediate, just
Right.
because it requires so much change. So I just don't see I see it just being progressing. I mean, China's a little ahead of us because they started earlier. The Biden administration took some retaliatory measures, putting 100% tariffs on Chinese EV imports. And I think we'll catch up, but it's not going to be like an overnight thing. It's going to slowly happen. People are going to accept it, and 30, 40, 50 years from now, nobody's going to be like, God damn, I wish we had gas powered cars still.
Right. Yeah. No, I just wanted to see y'all's opinion on it. It just had me thinking. I don't know where I got it today, but I just remembered that I saw those things about Harris, wanting to ban a couple years ago, but now swapping places. But no, yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks, man. Go Tigers.
Thanks, Ridge. I like that name.
There we go. Yeah, good conversation. Let's see. Let me see who Jen had listed next. It was Marielle. Guys, and just make sure if you're not opposition, we're not. I know that one was iffy. I don't know if that was opposition or not, but we are trying to just do opposition.
Tap the screen, guys. Keep tapping the screen. If you would like to donate, we do rely on your tips and donations to keep our show going. This is Venmo and Cash App. We will read your messages periodically throughout the show. And what else did I need? What didn't I say? I feel like I was going to say one more thing.
Check messages. I probably have one here.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I do have one.
Justin says, this guy's BS. I took some ibuprofen and my milk is still $5 a gallon.
Hannah has a question for you. What do you guys think about the Senate and House? Is there a chance both can be blue? Love you guys with my whole heart. Thanks, Hannah. The chances are better than they were before, for sure. Like normally when you have the incumbent president, down ballot elections get a lift from that ticket having the incumbent at the top of the ballot. The phenomenon was inverted with Biden. Like the top of the ticket was essentially dragging down ballot races down. That is why Congress was so concerned, and that seems to be correcting itself now.
Yeah, I don't know. The Senate's going to be tricky. I think the House is going to go blue, and I don't know what's going on with these prognosticators. Some of these races, you'll see polling with like, it's like in a blue district, and the polling will be like Democrat +8, and then they give it to a Republican. I think they just haven't updated it on some of these I'm looking at. Senate's going to be a problem. Senate's going to be difficult. I
Also,
think
Brooks, that race in Maryland, we need to win that race against Paul Hogan. If Paul Hogan, wait, not Paul, Larry Hogan,
Larry
former, yeah, Larry, sorry. That is one of the key races. Also, Brooks has to win Rick Scott. If we could get Rick Scott out, right? That would be great. Probably not going to happen, but it'd be a great idea. But yeah, like the Senate will be the tightest. Sherrod Brown's race is another key one. That's why Trump was in Montana. Why would Trump be in Montana? Like that's traditionally, we're going to have a hard time having Kamala win Montana. He was there because of Tim Sheehy, right? Somebody who doesn't live in Montana running against John Tester, or he isn't from Montana. I think he's actually from Minnesota. And he's like, I live near a farm to try to compete with John Tester. Like, that's why Trump's there. Eric Hovde in Wisconsin's trying to oust Tammy Baldwin. Eric Hovde, he lives in California. So yeah, there are a lot of these races like we need to watch and pray.
Yeah, if Democrats can keep Tester and Sherrod Brown, then it's 50-50 with the tiebreaker obviously going to the VP. The places that they need, Rick Scott, as mentioned, could lose. Ted Cruz could lose, but those don't look good. I think the most likely scenario is a 50-50 split or like a 51-49 margin for Republicans. I think Republicans
and the VP
are
breaks
more likely.
the tie.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, but I do think the VP will be a Democrat. I do think that Harris is going to win, but I think the most likely scenario is 51-49 for Republicans.
That's why that is essentially what happened with Biden. That is what Congress, Democratic senators in particular, were trying to say. Like, hey, our down ballot races are being dragged down by the top of the ticket, and if we don't do something, we will lose the White House and we will lose Congress. So, I mean, I think we've done what we can do that is in control, our control to correct things and give us the best possible chance in November.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Next was, let's see. Oh, wait, I had did you have comments outside of that one?
Oh, wait, yes, one more.
Daniel, thank you for the donation. There's no message there, but thank you.
Anne Marie says, thank you for all the great information. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. My imposter syndrome sometimes wonders what I'm talking about.
Stacy, you're next. Stacy, hopefully you're still here. It's weird. Every time I try and bring somebody up, it just immediately kicks. I don't know if it's a problem with
I wonder
the
if
box
it's a
or... Here's Jay. Maybe they all just left. What's up, Jay?
Where did he go? I like him. Or do we like him? I remember him. That was the first.
I don't
Not sure.
I don't know what that was weird. That loaded. Jay, if you're still here, come on back. Now the box is empty after all that. The box is. I closed all my windows too. I had all these windows up.
Of what? Of things to talk to about?
Yeah.
Guys, we are taking opposition. If you were in the box and you're tired of waiting, you can request. I have some things to say. Can I talk about something really quick? Yeah, so just 23 from my outline. We can put that in the Discord. It's an article called FBI Probing Alleged Iran Hack Attempts Targeting Trump. I just want to point out the hypocrisy of this. Does everyone understand that the Trump campaign was hacked? They're saying, they're alleging it was by Iran, but I mean, it could be, it's less important by
Iran.
who. I just want to point out that you haven't heard a word about this, right? Because the Trump campaign is saying that it's un-American and wrong for anyone to release basically a dossier on J.D. Vance was taken and distributed to like Politico, the Washington Post, places like this, and they haven't released it. But I just want to point this, Trump is disturbed by this. Like, if you read this article, it will become clear. Trump doesn't like being hacked. This is the same man that actively encouraged Hillary Clinton's campaign to be hacked, said
Yeah.
that it would be fruitful and rewarding for
Russia, if
people
you're
to
listening.
hack the DNC and deliver that. Yeah, Russia, if you're listening, does everyone remember that? This is a man who encouraged hacking, and now that it's happened to him, apparently, this is the logical inconsistency of Donald Trump. It's like, I thought you loved hacking and encouraged other countries to interfere in our elections, but when it's you and when it's a dossier on JD Vance, all of a sudden the right thing is to do is not to use it, for no media outlets that received it to use the information against them. And I do agree, that is the right thing to do. We shouldn't let foreign countries hack our elections and interfere. But it's very ironic from the Trump campaign that they encouraged this to happen and started this whole locker up, and all of this came from Russian interference in our elections. And now that Iran is doing it, it's not just to Trump, by the way. Iran also is they're trying to hack the Democratic campaign as well. Democrats just didn't fall for the phishing emails. But the So
wanna
I
know
mean,
what the-
for
I
and
wanna
you
know
know
what
who
the
fell
phishing
for
email
it?
looked like.
It's Roger Stone. That's the
Of
interesting
course it
part
was.
about this article. No, well, no, it's actually, for once, it's not Roger Stone's fault. But that's, if you guys don't know, that's what one of the many things, I think it's like 7 or 8 felonies that Roger Stone was pardoned for. Roger Stone is the guy that, after Trump encouraged Russia to hack into the DNC, that information was given to WikiLeaks. Roger Stone is the guy that went to WikiLeaks to try to get that information. That's one of the things Trump pardoned him for. But now, so they used Roger Stone's email, sent emails to the Republican, to people on Trump's campaign, because it would be familiar to them, I guess, like phishing emails. And at least one of them were successful. But yeah, I just think that this is the height of irony, that the man who encouraged foreign interference in our elections now wants nobody to interfere or use the information that was disseminated that's negative to his campaign against him, even though
Well, and
we all know what he's done.
Stone was interviewed, and he just was like, I was shocked that the Iranians figured out my password was Watergate Nixon 69. And so I think he thought he had a pretty foolproof.
Hasn't changed his password
Yeah.
ever. So it's like the first email password he ever made.
He loved that one. Box is weirdly empty.
Well,
That's
I have
bizarre.
many things I can talk. Well, this is great
Perfect.
for me. I wanted to also, like what Hoodie was bringing up yesterday about what's going on in the Kursk region of Ukraine. Those articles are 24 and 25 in the outline. I just want to say this about it. What it looks like is going on is we're probably nearing, because as winter approaches, right, going through another brutal winter of war is going to be very hard on Russia and very hard on Ukraine. So we're probably nearing some negotiation times for them. And nearest I can tell, what Ukraine is doing in Kursk is twofold. Number one, they are trying to get Russia to have to peel off where in Eastern Europe, where all the Russian forces are concentrated and are doing serious damage to Ukrainian forces and to the area. They're trying to force Russia to peel off some of those forces and go handle what's happening in the Kursk region to try to help relieve the embattled Ukrainian forces. And that doesn't, as of today, I don't think that's so much working at this point. But the second thing is by taking some of these cities and regions in Kursk, it just gives them leverage in negotiations as well. And I mean, nearest I could tell, that's what's going on. Nobody even understood. There wasn't a lot of advance warning that Ukraine was going to do this. It surprised a lot of people, even in the U.S. military.
Weirdly, you had Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal both saying this is a great move, and they supported that. So it also has weirdly bipartisan support in the Senate.
For oh yeah, Lindsey Graham is in
Incursion, yeah.
Ukraine right now with Blumenthal on
Right.
his 6th sixth trip to Ukraine. Yeah, Lindsay loves him some Zelensky. Maybe this time it will happen for him. Like Lindsey Graham is obsessed with Zelensky.
I think
Loves him.
he might have a crush. It's possible that he has a crush.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think this is his sixth time
likes a
going.
short,
No, in all
strong
fairness, it's
man.
Blumenthal's. Oh, he loves Zelensky. When Zelensky was, did you see them taking pictures together? He is obsessed. I actually, another thing I want to highlight though is Tim Walz. This is Article 21 in the outlines. Walz's handling of the George Floyd protest draws fresh scrutiny. I think this is such a great article to just get the picture of who Tim Walz is. Like, to me, this just makes me like him more, right? Like, again, I've said this many times. The point is not to get things perfect, to never make a mistake. It's to, once something happens, like the BLM riots, to be able to acknowledge, like, here's what happened, here's what, the changes we made to make sure that we can be better at this next time. But what's really cool about Tim Walz in this article is just really understanding his mindset during that time. And what he really understood was like, hey, people that have been the victims of systemic racism their entire lives are in severe pain, and I need to like make space for them to like protest and express their grief.
What's interesting about the attacks on Walz is that Walz is just seeing the entire situation for what it is, trying to have empathy where he can, trying to be consistent across the board with how he treats people, and like that has positioned him like in today's politics, that has positioned him as a far left lunatic, right? Like I would challenge anybody to bring up something Tim Walz believes or has done that is far left, but just him providing nuance and not saying immediately when these riots started, just sending in the National Guard and saying eliminate all of them. Like just having a more nuanced approach has made him a far left lunatic. But by the way, you'll probably cover this, so I apologize for stepping on your toes. But during this time, you know who was a big fan of Tim Walz, who said he was doing a great job? Donald Trump. While Donald Trump was president, he was like, Tim Walz is doing great. I applaud him for calling in the National Guard. He's doing an awesome job as governor. So it is interesting to see these attacks now when in real time, Donald Trump was like, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. Sorry, I had something happen to me this morning, so I kind of had done a lot of research and then forgot about it. But yeah, and you sent me something about this last night, like Musk and Jerry Nadler in Congress, like they're essentially starting an investigation into Musk and his handling of X and him silencing like political opponents on the site, all of this stuff, which someone in the comments was saying UAW just liked information about that investigation, which I think is great. One thing that happened that I forgot to mention during the Trump Elon Musk thing, one of the most disturbing, sickening parts for all of you people that think Trump is not anti-worker, anti-union. Trump literally started congratulating Musk on being a union buster who like broke up, like basically a company he had, people were trying to organize, to have rights, to have labor rights, and Trump's like, yeah, and you just fired them all, like you didn't even care. They were basically laughing about like decimating people's lives and jobs and being union busters. So I'm not surprised UAW would be very upset and angry about things that they were saying.
I think the one I sent you, that was from, because it's a separate lawsuit actually from the UAW. It was from who is it? It was David Wheeler. He's the American Muckrakers. I don't know what, if you lead a pack, whatever your position is. It doesn't say what his position is. But the description of the violation here is Elon Musk is the CEO and primary shareholder of X Corp. Musk hosted an exclusive campaign event live on X for Donald J. Trump. This campaign event was hosted on X and used X corporate resources directly and indirectly. This is a violation of corporate donations to a federal registered candidate. Musk and X vowed during this event that they would not host Trump's opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, for a similar event. If Musk and X will not provide an opportunity equal to what they collectively provided to Trump, this is an illegal corporate donation. In addition, Musk and the Trump campaign knowingly violated this law, assuming they would never be held to account. I am respectfully asking the FEC to investigate this illegal action and enforce violations to the full extent of the law. I can't remember what that law is called. Do you remember what it's called, where you have to give, like if you're NBC, you have to provide equal airtime to
What
the
it what
I
that
forget what it's
Obama
called.
ruined for all. Isn't it
Yeah.
Obama that took that away? Yeah, I can't remember, but someone in the comments knows. You know that law that where media companies were required to give like equal coverage, and then fairness doctrine. There you go. Thank you. God, I
Dude,
love
God.
crowdsourcing information. And the article I'm talking about that talks about it's very similar to what Jay's talking about. It's from the Tech Brief analysis in the Washington Post. It's called "Democrats Flip Social Media Censorship Complaints on Musk GOP." Musk's X is facing impartiality questions after he endorsed Trump, and the platform restricted pro-Harris account. So that's like, this is actual accusations of Elon Musk using X. I don't know if you guys remember this. When Kamala became the candidate, for like 24 hours or something, nobody could follow her.
Well, and you had I don't know where we landed on this.
That's one of the things listed in the complaint here.
There were two stories,
and
and I remember the night that this happened, you and I were on different pages, and then I never followed up. So you may know the conclusion of this, but when the Dudes for Harris account launched, they also blocked that. But then I saw a story that the dudes from Harris said that they took down the account on X because they were being harassed. But I don't know. And I think you said at the time, like, no, I don't think that's the story.
No,
Did we ever follow up
it's
there?
not. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a Washington Post article on it. It's not true that they took down the account. It was whatever happened to them happened. Yeah, there was a Washington Post article that followed up on that. This is number 4 in the outline, by the way. The Democrats flip social media censorship, and it's basically a letter or a complaint in writing to, because the Democrats, again, if we flip Congress, this could be very different. But right now, Jim Jordan decides what the Judiciary Committee does hearings on, but that's what Nadler's doing, who's the ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, is saying, like, here's our grievances, right? Because we had Twitter hearings, remember? The PAB, Trump's the PAB. The Republicans, when they felt like that Twitter was favoring the left, or they were being discriminated against, we had hearing after hearing after hearing about censorship. But now that the tables are turned, for some reason they're not interested in having a hearing about it.
It's because
very
Republicans, what they're always doing is just complaining about things that aren't going their way. These aren't real principles. Like, they effectively got Zuckerberg to step out of politics. They effectively got Twitter to allow more misinformation on Twitter. This is before Elon took over. They complained about social media. They said social media was in the pocket of the Democrats. And now, when all these social media companies have distanced themselves, you see Twitter and, of course, True Social linking themselves, endorsing a single candidate, linking themselves to one ideology. I was reading the Dudes for Harris thing. Yeah, they suspended that Dudes for Harris account. They wouldn't let Kamala's people follow Kamala's new handle, right? Like, all the stuff they complained about, they're doing in real time. So it's weird that after they spent all that time, and it appears that they got what they wanted, they got it fixed. Now they're like, okay, now that we have it fixed, we would like to go do the exact thing we were complaining about.
It is very ironic. What I was just on, someone just said in the comments to check CNN breaking news. Actually, here's an interesting part too. So it says they did fact check Trump. It said Trump made at least 20 false claims in his conversation with Elon Musk. No, I assume what they're talking about is a CNN investigation shows that a startup connected to JD Vance failed as a business and provided a nightmare work environment for employees. Why am I not surprised by that statement? And yeah, workers allege nightmare conditions at Kentucky startup JD Vance helped fund. UAW filed charges on Trump and Musk. Oh, let me see.
Yeah, Jen just sent that to me.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
filed
what?
labor charges against former. Yeah, that was the complaint. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's
It's
what
not.
we
It's
were
not
saying.
charges being charged by law enforcement. These are labor charges.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
It's a complaint,
Yeah.
essentially.
There's
It's a complaint,
Yeah.
essentially.
there's calling it charges.
But that is what we were talking about a
There we
little
go.
bit.
Jay, let's see if it works this time.
He's back.
Hey, Jay,
Hey, I got in.
it worked this time. Welcome back.
Hey, what's going on?
Not a
Hey,
lot.
so-
What's on your mind?
All right, so this is not what I want to talk about, but I just wanted to comment on your explanation about renewable energy. It was more, I think most people on the left side don't explain it as the way you do. I think the way you explained it is a lot more logical than most people describe it on the left, and I think that's why it rubs people on the right wrong. But anyways, my point, what I wanted to bring up and just put on the record is what I think Kamala's going to have to deal with, or Kamala, sorry, which is going to have to deal with.
Wait, you got it right, and then you corrected it to the wrong one. It's Kamala. You got it right the first
dang
time.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I make the mistake too. I appreciate you trying. That's all that matters. You're trying.
Okay. So, anyways, I think her biggest issue, if she has one, and that I think it's what she has to worry about is getting the middle vote, getting the people that are undecided or the people, and there's definitely people out there still. And I think what she might run into as an issue is she has to kind of ride both sides of a lot of issues, and that might turn off people that are undecided. And fracking was already brought up. I won't even talk about that. But she did at one point say she didn't want fracking. Now she's saying, or didn't want fracking, or she's okay with banning it. Now she's not.
I've never, just to be clear, I was looking through exit polling from 2012, 2016, 2020, 2022, and then polling it obviously is not exit polls, but polling that's recent. Fracking doesn't even make the cut. Nobody gives a shit about fracking. Nobody's
okay.
voting based on fracking.
Yeah, so but I'm just saying she's going to have to talk out of both sides of her mouth is the point. And and I'm going to give 7 things, and you can, pick them apart or pick
Hold
one.
on.
go one by
I
one?
just
Is that
want to
okay?
before you one by one, but before you do this, I just want to point out that personal beliefs are different than what anybody in the president's seat can control, right? Like I can say I want to ban fracking, but if I became president, that wouldn't be it. I couldn't ban fracking.
Yeah, it would
right?
automatically happen, right? Yeah.
No, it cannot happen, right?
That's
So,
what I'm saying.
like, to say it's not logically inconsistent to say, hey, personally, I feel this way, but that's different between what you're able to do or want to do when it comes to government.
Right. So the 7 topics are going to be buy back guns, defund the police, rethink ICE, fracking, the border, and how people, how they felt that was handled. The big one is Israel Palestine. Her thoughts and the way she handles that is really going to affect Michigan and certain types of voters. And that's a tough
I think
one.
Michigan's done, by the way. I think that's
Yeah,
a done
you might
deal.
be right.
Polling is, I mean, she's so far outside of the margin of error now. I
Maybe
think
just-
Michigan's probably a done deal.
And then the last one is, and I don't have a problem with, the no tax on tips thing. Obviously if Trump says it's a good idea and she says it's a good idea, that's fine.
It's not a good idea, right? They're just trying. This is what's a good idea during election time is not a good idea. Like the truth is this, such a small percentage of people are tip workers, right? Of low wage or middle class workers who get tips. It's like 10% or 3 to 10% of people that work in this country. And that's to say everyone else that's wage based doesn't deserve any sort of tax break. Like it is not a good idea, but it's just pandering. It's the same as protectionism. This is just pandering.
So she voted on a bill that basically assisted the IRS in tracking down tips and making sure they're paying taxes on them. And then now she's saying no tax on tips. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the stances.
No, those two the things are different, right? Like the no tax on tips, you're very confused about what that is, and you need to read the proposed bill because they will still track your tips. They're not going to stop tracking tips. There's just going to be an offset for what they are. You're still going to have to report them.
Hold on. By the way, this is I saw this morning. That headline that you almost read word for word. That's from Breitbart, right?
What headline?
About allowing the IRS to track down workers' tips.
No, I read the bill, and I don't know what I don't know my source. I did read it somewhere where the bill that she was the deciding vote on.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes, that's correct. Part of that Inflation Reduction Act had something in regards to
$80 billion in funding to the IRS.
overall, but what about the tips part? The part about
so what Breitbart's doing is they're saying we hire more agents to track down like back taxes, which is kind of true, but really that 80 billion is to replace agents who are retiring. Like we have like something like 40,000 agents retiring within the next 10 years. Like, so we have to replace them. That 80 billion has to go to them. And then you look at statistically, this is how Breitbart came to this conclusion. Statistically, if you're in the middle class, which most people making tips aren't really middle class, but the middle class, those are the people who see the most IRS audits. They're easier to find, they're easier to track, they're not complicated. And so they're saying, because this is what already happens, statistically, this is what happens. And she decided to cast a vote that funds the IRS. Therefore, she supports going after people making tips and the IRS tracking them down. But what it really is she voted to give the IRS more resources to go collect tax revenue that people owe. And that's across the board. So if there are people who are making a bunch of tips and they're not paying taxes, I've worked in industries that tip, and every industry says the same thing. Like, report just a small amount. Report a small enough amount that you don't think you'll be audited. That's what everybody does.
And I want to just say more because I think this will answer your question as well. It's not nefarious what's going on. It's just the way people are making money online, particularly because of technology, has changed. And because of that, we are losing tax revenue. Like, if the same way conservatives and Republicans are talking about fiscal responsibility, we have to make sure we take in enough tax revenue, right? Like, that we can solve our deficit problems. And as the way people make money online changes, we are losing more and more tax revenue. Like, it's simple. It's similar to what we're seeing now. Like, what is it? $400 or more in what is it? Not W2, W9, or is it W9 income has to be reportable. That is what they're talking about. It's about capturing money. It's not necessarily just tipped income. It's the way money is exchanging hands in places like Cash App, Venmo, etc., and the government being able to tax revenue. 1099, thank you. I love the chat. 1099 revenue. Yeah, it's a way of trying to accurately report 1099 revenue as the way people make money with technology changes. We need that update.
Well, my argument to that is we just need to have less government so we don't have to collect as much taxes, but that's a whole different story.
Wait, but these are the people that collect the taxes. If we're not collecting enough taxes and we need more people so that we can collect the taxes, how is the solution less people to collect taxes?
No, less government.
What does less government mean?
Less government agencies relying on the government.
You want to abolish the IRS?
It's like what Elon was saying.
Not the whole IRS, no.
Okay, but you don't want them to have enough people to be effective?
No, not the people. I'm talking about the actual. I'm not saying get rid of IRS agents. I'm saying other agencies and other government in general. Like, less government to me is better.
Why?
Because first of all, I feel like private businesses are more efficient and are,
What's a scenario where you could compare like to a private business doing the same job that the government does, where the private business is more effective? Like, if we looked at healthcare, they're far less effective. Like, the government runs healthcare much better than private institutions.
I'd say education would be one.
What do you mean?
Privately funded education institutions are more efficient.
But what if the government was funded as well as these private institutions? What if all schools had the amount of funding that private institutions get? Do you think then the government would be less effective?
Yeah.
Why?
There's a lot of government waste. I think.
Wait, why? If the funding was the same, what would make the government run version less effective? Because by the way, I live in Arizona. We have a lot of these private schools. American Leadership Academy. You should look them up. It's been an absolute fucking nightmare. They had a bunch of kids at their school they like killed a kid, and then they just allowed the people to keep coming to school. Yeah, these school voucher systems. It's costing us millions of dollars, and it's hurting the poorest among us. The reason is these places, these private schools. You know who likes private schools? People who own private schools. You know why? Because they make a fortune. And they keep more of that money. They keep far more of that money. That money doesn't go towards the education. If you look at dollar for dollar, what's spent by these charter schools versus public schools, dollar for dollar, the kids aren't getting more of the money.
For charter schools,
and in charter schools, you don't even have to have a teaching degree to teach at a charter school. They can have anybody teach.
Look into Brian Donald's wife and the charter school ring, the far right classical education charter school ring she's running, and how much they're profiting. Why should you be profiting instead of reinvesting money into children's education?
So charter schools is, I could have my wife speak on that because she actually started a charter school. So, and they get a bad name. Charter schools.
How much is she making?
Who
Zero.
cares?
Zero?
She shouldn't be profiting off children's education.
So she's actually operating as a nonprofit.
No. So the people that actually that she chartered with is a nonprofit. She doesn't make any money. She's the president and founder of the organization. She's been doing it for 10 years and hasn't made one dime, and it has to go to a board meeting once a month and has to deal with a lot of crud. So she's a little bit of a saint.
And are there people making money? Are there people making good money in that organization?
So to answer that question, most people that are in that at least this organization, they won't make any money for at least, they say, 10 to 12 years. As a place to park money, maybe use it as a write-off for the future. Now, I'm not saying all charters are like that.
They get salaries, right? Like, do you understand? Just because you're not turning a profit, like here's our profit, you can still give yourself large salaries and pay yourself that way, as long as you don't make profit. Like, it's delusional to say they're not making money. You can pay yourself whatever you want to pay yourself.
Yeah, and I think this particular organization does not. It's not what you're saying. I mean, there probably are charter schools.
What's the name of it?
Oh gosh,
because it's all public information.
It is public information. Gosh, give me a second. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you what it is.
While you're looking that up, Ashley sent a question for you, Felice. What did one booty cheek say to the other?
What?
Together we can stop this crap. It's a great joke. And what do you call? Oh, this one's tough. What do you call a book club stuck on the same book for years?
A book club stuck on the same book for years? What?
Church. Why? And then last one from Kimmy, sorry. Why did the snowman suddenly smile?
Why?
Because he saw the snowblower coming.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
And then wasn't me said
it. Snowman blowjobs.
And wasn't me said, thanks for y'all helping me through a very hard day. Much love. I'm sorry you're having a hard day. Felice is too, so we're doing this together. Yeah.
Do you guys have no idea what happened to me this morning? I'm just hanging on by a thread. Toby says, what do the 49ers and the post office has? This is good. Toby, this is funny. What do the 49ers and the post office have in common?
They're both perfect.
They can't deliver on Super Bowl Sunday.
We got 5 Super Bowls. We got 5 of them.
Right,
Dare
that's
you?
funny though. Stacy says, isn't the fact that Walls is not rich refreshing? 300K a year. What of us? Yeah, I agree that it is refreshing. And Meredith said,
That's
Reagan got rid of the fairness doctrine, which led to the rise of Rush Limbaugh and Fox Entertainment. Yes, Rush Limbaugh is like the progenitor of the Daily Wire. That's why we're all here.
All right, did you find it?
yeah, it's at National Heritage Academy.
I know
That's
them.
quite a name.
Yeah, you
they're
like the
doing
heritage
they're doing
part,
fine.
I'm
I have
sure.
friends. I have a friend who works there. He does very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean we're
really?
talking mid six figures.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm sure the kids are fine though. We should put that money towards kids' education.
But yeah, I mean
You
that's
hear
the
Trump? That's one thing Trump said last night in his little thing with Elon. He said the United States spends more per child in public education than any other country. Like that was a problem. He said we should not. Oh, I love this. He said we should not be doing that. Like we should spend less, and we should just let people make six figures a year who own charter schools. That makes
Can I
sense.
I
just,
think
can I just
his
read
point.
apart from this
Go
article?
ahead.
National Heritage Academy is the third largest for-profit, not non-profit, for-profit charter chain
No,
in the
that is
For
nation.
profit.
That's true. My wife's the nonprofit. They're
Yeah.
for profit.
Well, you just keep listening. You tell me if this is maybe spending that is wasted that we could put towards schools. Is selling 69 of its more than 90 schools to a new corporation created just for the purchase. Charter Development Co., the real estate arm of NHA, so it's their own company, will receive the payout from a sale that requires $1 billion to finance. This massive transfer of public dollars into private wealth is running into some roadblocks, however, in NHA's
Disgusting.
home state of Michigan. Sounds like $1 billion business here, while they're lying and saying that it's the public schools that are the problem. This is the problem that I have with most right-wing policies is they just believe capitalists always. Like capitalists come in, they're like, we'll fix it, it's a problem. And then they create a school where, like if you go to ALA here, it's the right look of people, it's the right cars in the carpool or in the pickup lane. You get to pull kids from bad situations as long as they're not going to cause problems in your school, and then you leave these other schools completely underfunded. This is just capitalism stepping into education and ruining it. Capitalism has ruined education in America. Capitalism is solely to blame for virtually every problem we have with education in this country.
So, question though, the Department of Education when it was created, where what were we ranked when the Department of Education was created?
I don't know. Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it was. Let me Google it. It was about 30.
I mean, in the world, like in
No, this
comparison to
year.
other countries, you know
When
what's
did
really
we
funny
create it?
about that? Trump was saying like, yeah, the United States, we spend so much on kids in public education, but we're ranked like 40 something in the world. And he's like, you know who's ranked high? He's like Norway, Sweden. He's listing socialist, democratic socialist countries and their education systems, which are free, right? Like that's who he said. He's like Norway, yeah, democratic socialists who have free education. Yeah, they are better than our
Yeah,
education
we're ranked
system.
30. We're
That
ranked
is correct.
31.
We're ranked 31, and I think in 1979. Do you have a chart of what we were in 1979 or 1978 or
I'll see if I
1977?
can. I'll see if I can find one. I'm looking. I don't know. It would probably take me some time to pull it up. I'm looking by year, but
What
I'm
was
not
the
finding
question?
anything.
Say it again.
In
What was the question?
1979 or 78, what were we ranked in education?
Let's see. This is what in 1979 the United States had a high school graduation of 53% for male laborers, which was an increase. The percentage of our employed people during the 1960s and 70s, the United States was considered to have some of the best educated young people in the world.
It was. I
So
think it was
yeah,
ranked-
and
I
yeah,
think it
I
was
just
ranked
found
number
that
one.
too.
I think it was ranked number one.
Okay.
So we were ranked number one. We started the Department of Education, and now we are 31st.
Well, here's
That's the
that's like
point-
wait,
that's
but
the
hold
point
on,
he's making.
hold on. No,
It's not true. That's the
problem that you-
logic does
True.
not compute.
Wait, but the
But
problem
that's
that you
true.
wait, but the problem that you have with that is you're just saying these two things both exist. Therefore,
They're
it's
not
the Department of
correlations,
Education's
not
fault.
causation.
Okay, maybe
Right, but
not.
it's
Correlations,
but
not-
not
it's not-
causation. Yeah, that's like saying
something to look
that's like saying
into.
we were ranked number one in education. I ate a sandwich, and now we're 30 something. Like, do you understand what I'm? Correlation is not causation. You are just saying two
That's true.
unrelated things. You're just making two unrelated things and saying I determined that that's the cause. That nothing. That is not true at all. That's just something you really want to be true.
If that was true, Kaner, if we're saying government involvement is the problem, then how are we 31 now, and all of the countries ranked above us have government-run education and funded? How is everybody else doing it with government-run education, and they're doing it better than us? But we're looking at ours, and by the way, we allowed capitalism in. We allowed lenders. We allowed for-profit charter schools.
Exactly.
We have private institutions. We have loans. We have student loans that were out of control. We have advertising. We have sport. Like all the things that we've done to our not only just public education, but our public universities. Those used to be free. You used to be able to, if you lived in Michigan, you go to school in Michigan, it didn't cost you anything. Most states had free college. The problem with our education system is money, and it's private money. And that's so clear when you compare us to every other country. That's the one difference. They all have a Department of Education. They're doing
Yeah.
well. What's the difference?
And yeah, exactly. You're so right, Jay. The position of conservatives is to starve the Department of Education. The Department of Education has never been well funded. It is literally the position of your party to starve it out of existence. Trump is asinine for being like, let's abolish it. It's much smarter to just keep starving it, like conservatives have been doing. Because when you start talking about abolishing it, now people are listening and saying, "What the is he talking about?" You guys should have just kept starving it. But yeah, that is what happened. There was a shift, right? You used to also be able to go to vocational school. All of this was a shift, and it has to do in the 70s and 80s with the civil rights movement, the rise of minorities becoming educated, and upward mobility, and wanting to limit upward mobility and higher learning to what was predominantly affluent people who could afford to have it. That was the intersection in the 70s and that you're talking about. Conservatives have done a great job of limiting upward mobility, of making sure, hey, even if you want upward mobility, you're going to have a huge debt. You're going to have to take out a loan, poor person, middle class person, that you may never recover from, just to make sure we can keep you in control and working like we need you to work, and you're not going to rise too far up the ladder, right?
talking
This is
about
about
college.
limiting upward mobility. Yeah.
You're talking about college, yeah.
Well, even just having a solid public education in places that are underserved, if we had schools that were properly funded in poorer communities, that would also increase the upward mobility, especially if you included things like public transportation and school lunch, right? So you're not relying on the parents to get these kids to school. They have a way to get to school. They have something to eat while they're at school. Like that would also increase upward mobility. But instead, all these schools in bad areas are being targeted by these for-profit voucher vultures who are like, hey, bring your money, because that's what we care about. Bring your money to our school. And what does that happen? What happens? It adds to one school and takes away from the others. I live in Arizona. You should see this. You should see the high schools in Scottsdale, the public high schools. And now when people are allowed to use vouchers like these leadership academies, and go compare them to the public schools in Phoenix or in Glendale, or if you go down to parts of to Tucson, it's night and day. Like I saw a school in Scottsdale, I think it was Chaparral. They have like restaurants in their school. It's crazy.
So you think giving people choices is so the problem with the vouchers is you get choices and you can go to the school you want, but the
No,
problem
choices are for people
is
with
probably the
money,
biggest
though.
problem.
Do you understand that? Do you understand choices are for people with money? Right? If you
no,
have to
because
walk
charter
to
schools
school,
are
if the only
free.
school you can go to, if your mom and
talking
dad
about
don't have a
transportation,
car and or are working 3 jobs, right? And the only way you're getting to a school is the school that's closest to you, right? There's no choice. There's no school voucher program. There's no transportation for you to get to any school, right? And that's why when school funding is based off property taxes, we have underfunded public schools. Even people in the districts who could be going there now are doing school choice. These are people with upward mobility whose parents do have cars and aren't working 2 jobs and could give them a ride somewhere else or have an extra parent at home. That's not many people, right? Choice is for people with upward mobility.
So
It's
the
for
problem-
affluent people.
So the problem is not necessarily the charter school or the private school or the voucher system. It's the transportation more than anything else. If we could solve that problem to get them there
The problem
and
is
give them a
profit.
choice of what school, it'll force schools to do a better job.
The problem that we're running in here, the problem is profit. Every dollar that is taken for education, every dollar that isn't given to a teacher, dollars that are given to either investors or owners, every dollar that goes to them is a dollar that could go towards the schools. And in public education, we use a greater percentage of our money for the actual education. Like there's a reason that there's people lining up to buy charter schools, rich people. Why do you think that is? Do you think they just care about education, or do they see, oh, this is a great way to make money? And it's welfare. It's literally just like government welfare given to private organizations. And there's less compliance. There's less oversight. Like I said, I had 2 friends who taught at a heritage school out in Queen Creek. 2 of them. Neither one of them had a teaching degree. It's not ideal.
There's no teaching standards in lieu of science. They teach
true. I mean, most of them
creationism. They teach creationism in lieu of science. Like these children are not getting education. I went to private Christian school my whole life, like similar because Arizona is a school voucher place and has been even when I was in school and I was given a scholarship because I was a poor kid who could play sports. So I went to a private Christian school where the sports were really good for most of my life. My tuition was paid by somebody else. When I went to high school, I was like, I'm going to a public school or I'm going to Unalive. I did not like being in private Christian school. I went and I'm an intelligent person. I was in the International Baccalaureate program. That's when I realized how behind private and charter school education was. You think because, oh, these are rich kids that they're getting the best education, but they weren't. I went back for a semester my junior year spring to that same private school where all these affluent kids went, where they think they're getting the best education. And it was a joke. These kids were not AP level. They were not international baccalaureate level. They didn't offer the classes needed to get college credit that I had been in. It was a joke. There were no standards that they were being held to.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm glad we talked about this. But I mean, initially, the point I'm making is back to the candidates' issue that they're going to have a problem with is because they've changed their views on things so often that the people in the middle are going to have a hard time believing her, and that's.
You understand Trump's done the exact same thing though, right? Like he went
That's
from
the funniest thing I've ever heard.
from pro-choice to pro-life. He's now changed. He's completely flipped his ideas on electric vehicles. Like Donald Trump has flip-flopped on virtually every position he's ever taken. I think what you're trying to do is I'm guessing you're probably voting for Trump, and you're seeing the hypocrisy on one side of flip-flopping their votes, and you're not recognizing that it exists on your side. I think what you should be looking at is whose messaging is going to be more effective. Do you think people are going to be more swayed by Vice President Harris talking about the future and investing in America's schools and investing in Americans and investing in the middle class and investing in helping people raise out of poverty? Or do you think 2.5 hours of complaining about how everything is unfair by two billionaires and them saying, well, we'll cut taxes for each other, do you think that's going to be more effective messaging? I don't think we should be surprised that the polls have shifted this hard in one direction. It's because one guy complains and thinks the solution is cutting taxes, and the other side is saying, hey, this tax money should probably stop just going to corporations and we should invest it in the American people.
Yeah, but you say that we need to put more money in education, but we've already agreed that we spend more per student than any country in our public education, and it's still not doing
No,
well.
we need to
So
get rid of
must be
school
ways
vouchers. We need to get rid of school vouchers and invest it in public education exclusively. And I also don't think public education should be funded by property taxes. That's another, segregationist policy that was really smart, right? That came out of the Jim Crow era. Oh yeah, where the rich white people live, let's have the best schools. That's a great idea for the rich white people.
You understand, too, that cost per student includes charter schools, right? You understand that? Because that's public funding. So you're including the charter schools. It's not public school. And by the way, we're not first. We're second. We come in behind Luxembourg.
Okay, but
it's close.
But when you say that, I mean, still to right now at least, charter schools are not a small percentage. 82% of, I think, kids go to a public school in the United States. I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to 82%.
Every dollar that goes to those school vouchers is diverted away from public school funds for classroom needs, for books, for teacher salaries. If we want people to teach our kids, I used to be a teacher. I'm not a teacher anymore. For many reasons that have to do with funding, because I spent my whole salary on buying school supplies and shoes because I had kids who came to school in soccer cleats because he didn't have a pair of shoes every day. Like, there are so many things wrong with public schools, and diverting even a dollar from public school system is a crime against America's children.
That dollar goes to the other school for that child. It's not like
Hey,
they're
there
just
should be
kicking
private
it through out
schools.
the
If
window.
if rich people want to send their kids to private school, they should have that option to segregate. If rich kids want to be together and only be around rich kids, that's great. They can go do that, but it should not, they shouldn't take government welfare to do that.
I think it's also important just to remember that, like, in the United States, of course, we're going to spend more per student, and we could spend potentially double per student what we spend now to get the results of other countries. It's more expensive to live here. The cost to operate a school is more expensive in the United States. Real estate is more expensive. Energy is more expensive. Things are expensive in the United States. So that cost per student number, it really reflects more of how expensive it is to live here, right?
Yeah, but so you think the answer is to have more liberal policies and that'll make it less expensive to live here?
What are liberal policies? I think it's not about liberal or conservative policies. It's about what is best for the children.
Yeah, like, why not? Why would that not be our number one? Like, here's one thing I haven't understood looking back, and it's a hard thing for me to sway my Republican friends from when I was a Republican. But two of the things that interested me the most and swayed me to the left were healthcare and education. And I can't think of places where we are better suited to spend money. And Republicans are saying we can't spend more money on healthcare, but what we can do is take in less tax revenue by cutting taxes for billionaires. Why do they need to keep more money when we can't fund schools? Why can't we take more money from the billionaire class, who, by the way, they only exist because of our education system and because we've educated a workforce for them and we've invested in all of these people for them? Why did they get all the benefits from that? And we're like, we'll cut taxes for you. Why can't we pull some of that money back and spend more on children?
It's a good question. I mean, what do you think would happen if we raised that to what you wanted to raise to, the corporate tax? What if we raised it to 50% or 45% or whatever you want to raise it to? What would happen?
Well, I think, yeah, I wouldn't say that we need to go that high. I think, I mean, if across the board, if we had 25%, what do I think would happen? There would be some billionaires with a little bit less money.
Well,
And that
25.
would be
I don't
fine.
think that's what they're asking for.
Well, we don't know what they haven't even addressed whether or not they're going to raise corporate tax rate.
Yeah. Well, let's see if that's part of the policy. And if it goes up too high, I mean, I would probably say some businesses would not. We'd have less businesses operating here, and there would be less
Where would
incentives.
they go, dude?
The number one gross.
this is-
Yeah, this is the
It's a Republican
marketplace.
argument. There's
of the
nowhere
world.
for them to go. We have all the leverage and we pretend that they do. They don't have any fucking leverage. Where is Apple going to go? Where is Amazon going to go? Where is Tesla going to go? Where is Walmart going to go? They rely on Americans buying their shit for them to exist. They can't go anywhere. Well, I don't know why we're pretending that they have leverage. They don't. There's nowhere else in this world they can operate and make the money that they're making now, even if we raise their taxes, which would be, by the way, a 4% tax rate, roughly, right? That's what corporate income tax is, like about 21%. Is that right? So a 4% increase there. We had speculation taxes on people investing. We tax the shit out of people who are manipulating the stock market. The stock market, by the way, was introduced as a way to say this is for the middle class. This way the middle class can be involved in the growth of these companies. That was the whole point of the stock market. And here it is, just being manipulated every day by billionaires to get more and more wealth. I mean, I'm tired of us pretending like these billionaires are the brightest and that we need them. We don't need a single one of them. If all of them left tomorrow, all of their companies would either continue to operate or a new company would step up and operate in the same way that they do. And we could revenue share with those companies. But yeah, we should tax the shit out of these billionaires until they start paying people more money.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'd like to see that if Kamala Harris wins and you guys win the House and the Senate,
That'd be dope.
and they actually, I would, first of all, I'd be interested to see if they do that.
It's unlikely, I think.
Well, then what's the point then?
Well, you need 60 votes in the Senate for most legislation, right? Which is gonna
Even
be
if
hard
we
to do.
had like one extra, we had the majority, like we still wouldn't have 60 votes.
It's going to be very interesting to see if Harris wins and the House and the Senate flips, what happens. And I mean, that would settle a lot of things, but unfortunately, I don't think any of these things are ever going to happen. It's just
Okay,
going
but why won't you just join us then? This is the thing, like the Republican argument is honestly stupid. It really is. Like trickle-down economics, that we have 50 years of data on it, and it's a massive failure, and Republicans are doubling down on it. And when we bring up good points and we explain how like economically this is a completely rigged system, the default answer is, well, nothing's going to change. So we might as well keep voting for the people who aren't going to change anything. Like we need more people to recognize that this system is broken. It doesn't work. Trickle-down economics is an absolute scam. It's an absolute scam. We have 50 years of data on it. There's not a single person in this world that could make a good argument. And I've seen the arguments for it. What's that freaking Laffer curve guy? I've seen him make arguments for it. There's no argument for it. It's a massive failure. And the only argument is, oh, they'll blame the left for trickle-down economics not working. No, it just doesn't work.
All right.
In any scenario, if you're starting a country, let's say there's 1,000 people in this country, in what scenario would you give like 20% of the wealth to one person out of the 1,000?
You wouldn't give it to them, but I think you wouldn't just hand it to them. But I think the philosophy behind it is good.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, because I don't think they were given it. I think they, people.
Why wouldn't you do that? Just like if you're creating it, because you can put the money anywhere. Why would, in this scenario, ignore what's happening here in this country? Why wouldn't you give 20% of the wealth to that one person?
Because they didn't earn it.
You didn't earn it. What does that 20% wealth allow them to do? Grow their wealth. They buy up other people when people are distressed and in need of money, and they have all this extra money. They can buy up those assets, right?
Right, but in a perfect world, or not a perfect world, but in the side of capitalism is you eat what you kill. You earn, you work hard, and you get nice things. And if you don't work hard, you don't. And I understand that's very simply put, and that's not 100% true.
Yeah,
But
I don't think Elon Musk is a terribly hard worker.
People
Yeah,
work
show-
3
yeah.
jobs and can't get above the poverty line. Do you understand that hard work, 1 hour, 1 unit of labor, does not correlate to then you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and
No, you're
become a
talking about-
billionaire? Or we all would.
okay, you change the
No,
subject.
to
Now,
say
you're talking
you
about now.
no,
I'm
but
talking
you're saying
about
no. This
if
you're
we had
going into
1,000
personal
people.
when you say personal, when you start talking about, hey, if everyone just works hard, everything will be fine. That is not
I'm
true.
I'm not saying that right in this current situation. I'm saying if we had 1,000 people who were going to start a new world, you would have people earn and get, earn your way, like work hard, invent something, start a business, and employ people, and you'll get rewarded for that.
What about the people who don't start a business? What about the people who are just laborers? Because in every business needs laborers, right?
Right.
Okay, so now what happens now let's talk 20 years down the road in your labor class at this new country of yours, your labor class can't afford to live. And meanwhile, you've got this person who
They're
started
angry.
at 20% and they've got 30% now. And they're the ones that are paying the labor class, but they're saying, no, I'm just going to pay you a tiny amount. I'm going to pay you a tiny portion of the amount of money I'm making, and I'm going to keep the overwhelming majority of the wealth myself. Then what would you do? Because now you've got people starving. So now what do? You're running the country. People are starving. The guy that's paying them isn't paying them enough money. What would you do?
You've created feudal system with feudal lords and serfs who are now working the land.
I would start a business to help them
A business?
get to help educate them or train them on something.
But there's no jobs, right? They have a job. Somebody has to be a laborer. So even if they get elevated out of that job, there will always be laborers who aren't being paid enough to live. What do you do about that? How is this is the thing, KanerJay, like this is why I get so fucking frustrated with my Republican friends, and I like you. The answer is take it from the fucking rich guy. He has too much money. He can't spend his money. He's just hoarding it. It's your money. You created a currency so people didn't trade apples for sticks so people could buy stuff. He's keeping it all. The simple solution is take it back. And you're going out of your way. You're like, well, I would create a new program, which, by the way, is going to cost money. The government's going to have to spend money, and you're not going to tax the rich guy for that money. So where the fuck are you going to get that money? You're going to go into debt because you can't tax rich people. Otherwise, they'll leave. By the way, this person's not going anywhere because his labor is right there. They're going nowhere. The simplest solution is take the money from the people hoarding it. And Republicans are like, I will close my eyes and I will do anything. We will go into trillions of dollars of debt before we will ever take any money from our billionaire overlords. Just if we keep doing this, it'll eventually fix itself.
Jay.
No, but think about. Let's put it. Wait.
One.
Let's put it another day. We're starting a society, the three of us, and Jay and I are starting businesses, and you're a laborer.
Mm-hmm.
Your one unit is 1 hour is 1 unit of your labor worth the same as our labor just because we started businesses and you didn't? Is 1 unit of your labor worth the same as ours?
Okay, but you have a choice. If that business isn't paying you enough, go to another business that
No, you don't.
pays
No,
more.
that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. There always has to be people working those jobs or the businesses go under. And we have a very low unemployment rate in this country, exceedingly low, which means that there are tons of those jobs, right? There are tons of those cheap, shitty paying jobs. And there are people in this country working 3 jobs, barely making ends meet. Elon Musk isn't doing anything. Tell me what Elon Musk has done in the last 10 years to take his wealth from 10 billion to 200 billion. Meanwhile, those same people who were working 3 jobs, they're still working 3 jobs today. And spoiler alert, they can't afford anything. Like they used to be able to afford things. Now they can't even afford anything. But Republicans are like, well, we can't take that money from Elon. He earned it.
He did not earn. Yeah, and think about this, Kaner. Like,
earn it
this is
all.
what conservatives do. This is what capitalism is about. It's about finding a labor force to exploit. And that's what you're saying, right? You're saying, okay, we'll exploit someone for a while, and then they can just go get a new job when they get tired of being exploited, and we'll figure out someone else. That's what we did in America. We built America off the backs of slaves, off the backs of African slave laborers, right? And then when they got tired and we finally banned slavery, this is why we have a prison to high school to prison pipeline, right? We still have slavery in prisons here. That's what the for-profit prison system is about. That's why they're rolling back child labor laws, and we have that immigrant children working in factories, because there's always some labor that needs to be exploited. And you're saying, as long as it's not my labor that's being exploited, that's fine.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you have a choice in this world. And I'm saying if enough people didn't work for that person because of the wage, then they would have to up their wage because the competition's paying more. So you have 3 jobs, 3 companies, and they're all the same company.
But they're
There's
not.
3 software companies.
But they're not, KanerJay. This is the problem. This is a hypothetical that does not exist.
There's not 3 software companies?
Amazon has so much money now and so much power, and they control so much that they can pay people a non-living wage. People aren't working at Amazon because they want to work there. They're working at Amazon because it's their only option. There aren't other options. And Amazon's not paying a working wage. Meanwhile, when Jeff Bezos got divorced, his wife became the 2nd richest person in the world. When his money was split in half, now instead of the richest person in the world, there were 2 richest people in the world because his money got split in half. I'm telling you, man, like, these people are bleeding us dry, and the Republicans are saying, let's give them tax cuts. We've done this. By the way, the answer isn't socialism, which everybody thinks. Socialism is what helps you. It's about markets, and we have to look at markets that operate like markets. Like food, for example, that operates like a market. If you want steak, and the steak is, let's say, like I think a good ribeye right now might be $13 at the grocery store. Well, if that ribeye was $86, nobody would buy it. So they can't have a steak be $86, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but some things don't operate in the same way. Healthcare doesn't operate in the same way. Do you have kids?
Yeah, healthcare is out of control.
How much money would you be willing to spend on your kids before you say, fuck it, let's just let them die? There's no number, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't operate like a market. It's the same with education. We have to stop taking places that don't operate in a true free market sense and saying, let's let the free market take care of them. I have no problem with free markets. I have no problem really with capitalism. What I have a problem with is that we refuse to check capitalism. Just like socialism, just like communism, capitalism has the same problem. It can be exploited and it can be perverted. That's why I don't call myself anything. Like, I'm a big fan of mixed economies, but right now we've overcorrected to the side of capitalism and it's not working. And we've got to correct back. We've got to take some of that money back, and we can do it just like we did during the Industrial Revolution. We tell these 1%ers, hey, we're going to tax the shit out of you after $10 million. So you can either write a check to the government or you can pay your employees more. What do you think most of them are going to want to do?
I hope they'd pay their employees more.
Wouldn't you? I think I think most humans are good people. And I think most humans, when faced with the choice, write a check to the government or pay your employees more, they're going to choose pay the employees more. They get benefits from that. Their employees are happier. They're more productive. They're healthier. They're happier. Everything is better for you. But unless we incentivize that, which we don't currently, then all these people just hoard the money, and they care far more about the investors, the people that don't put any work into the business. They care far more about those people than the people that work for the business. That's why when the stock price drops, what comes next? When you see a massive stock price drop, what's the next thing that happens? Layoffs. Layoffs every time. Layoffs. And then what happens to the stock price? It goes back up, and they all celebrate together, and they're like, whoo, we kept our shareholders happy. Meanwhile, like 1,000 people don't have a job.
Jay, that was the
It's
best
not working
argument
correctly.
I've ever heard.
What's that?
You did a great job of describing that.
Thank you. Look, it's reality. And I think that we, on the right, and I was on the right, like we scare people into thinking socialism is so bad. But socialism, Marxism, it's just a response to capitalism. And it's a way of looking at our markets and saying, like, which places is it the government's role? And the places where it's the government role, it has to do with our individual liberties, right? And anything outside of that, like the car we drive, the clothes we wear, what we consume on the internet, what we consume on TV, like that's free market because it operates that way. If you build a shitty website, people will be like, that's a shitty website, I'm not going to it. If you show something shitty on TV, people don't watch it. If you build a shitty car, people don't drive it. Those types of industries operate in a free market. But we've got to have the government step in places where the free market is taking advantage of the American people.
So you're talking about a combination of both parties. That's the problem. So
No ideologies. We already live in a mixed economy. We already do this. We've discussed this. We have public education. I'm sure
There's
you don't write.
co-ops.
I'm sure if your house burned down, the fire department wouldn't come to you and say, write me a check. Right? The police, they operate that way. Our government operates that way. Infrastructure, highways, roads, internet, all that stuff. Like we already have a mixed economy. It's just that we have to keep an eye on it and keep tweaking it to make sure that it's balanced. It's imbalanced right now. The money is going all to one side. It's not circulating. We just have to fix the balance. And that means we have to go left because we went too far right. And now we got to go left. And it's possible that at some point we could go too far left and we might say we got to go back right. That's entirely possible. But right now we've gone too far in the capitalism side and it's not working for everybody. So we just got to go back left a little bit.
Yep. And if we knew it would just be a little bit, maybe people would agree to it.
Well,
They're
that's
afraid
the
it's gonna
point.
go
Like
too far.
that, Minnesota. That's what Tim Walz is doing. Like who Tim Walz is and what he's done in Minnesota is a case study. It's the correction, right? That's what Tim Walz has done. Like I'm looking at this. This is a CBS News article that just came out on July 12th. Minnesota is ranked the sixth in the nation for business. A new study finds for places corporations should move their businesses. Tim Walz embraces capitalism and is doing it well. But what he's doing is using social programs like universal breakfast and lunch for kids at school and things of that nature to supplement capitalism, to correct it, to make sure that people aren't falling behind and don't have a chance to succeed in society. That's what we're seeing is a case study of capitalism got out of control. What are the checks and balances we have to make sure that every child in this state of Minnesota has a chance to succeed? Like if your household makes under, I believe it's 80K, they supplement you going to state school, to go to university. They help you do that. They subsidize it for you. Like they're saying where capitalism is creating a huge host of inequality, and we're going to use programs to supplement that so every child has a chance to succeed in this state. That's why Tim Walz is such an interesting candidate, because he is the blueprint for what we need to scale federally.
Well put.
Vote blue, baby. Vote blue. Where do you live?
Go
What
Tim
state?
Walz.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Oh yeah.
You
so
need
you
my
got.
vote, dude. You
Wow.
Yeah, we do need it.
What about Mark Robinson? Is he as crazy as he seems?
need it. If I would have said Pennsylvania, you would have probably flown out here to recruit me. That's
Well, I think Pennsylvania. I think we're much more likely to get Pennsylvania than North Carolina polling wise. But yeah, look. I want you guys in North Carolina. Even if you don't vote for Biden at the top of your ticket, don't vote for that Robinson guy. You deserve better than that. North Carolina is a beautiful place. I used to spend summers in, a couple times summers in the Emerald Isle. It's beautiful. but you
Yeah,
guys deserve better than that.
the ads, their
garbage
ads they're
person.
doing, the Democrat, what's his name, Stein, the ads, he's killing them in ads. It's not even
Good.
not even close.
Mark
on
Robinson
ads.
is killing himself.
Yeah, he
Like
keeps talking.
he gave them the material to run ads against him. He's an African
Yes.
American anti-Semite who believes the 19th Amendment should be repealed. He
Yeah.
doesn't want women to vote anymore because we're ruining everything with our tiny brains.
Yeah, they've got some sound bites from when he was preaching, I think, that and they
Yeah, he
are
said
using
some
that in
people
the ad
just need
campaigns.
killing. He said some people just need some unaliving or something.
Yeah.
And let's point out that your option, Josh Stein, is extremely moderate. The thing that I recognize, and I understand, I get that, because I'm afraid of things going far right. You're afraid of things going far left. I get that. But like, our government is not set up to operate in that way. We have 3 branches of government. They act as checks for each other. And Congress specifically, we've got, I think, 38,000 people in the House. What is it, 470 or something? I don't know what it really is. And then 100 in the Senate. In the Senate, you have a filibuster proof for a lot of things. Yeah, nothing is going to shift far left. Any change that we make, regardless of any election, is going to be incremental. So you can look at it, you can say, like, hey, I might be a conservative, but I look at Josh Stein and I say, what does he want? He wants better wages for people. He wants to improve public education. He's addressing, you guys have housing affordability problems there. Like, he's a moderate. So you can feel safe in voting for somebody. And I think that the thing that politicians have done a great job is making us think, if we vote for somebody that's part of the other party, that the most radical person in their party is actually who we're voting for. Like, if I cast a vote here for what's the guy running against? Well, let's just say if I cast a vote for Ted Cruz. Now, I don't like Ted Cruz, but I'm not voting for Nick Fuentes. Right? Like, he's left of Nick Fuentes. And when you vote for Josh Stein, you're not voting for who's the boogeyman on the left for you guys? Is there a boogeyman? Rashida Tlaib, I guess. Maybe that's the one.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyways, that's the only point. Like, we have moderate choices, but we have to take a shift back. We can't allow people like Elon and Bezos to keep doing what they're doing. And I'm not trying to demonize them. I think all of us are going to have a tendency, when faced with keep all this money or give it away, I'm going to want to keep it. And I think they even probably believe that they're doing good things with that money. I probably would say that most of them think that. But it's a rigged game right now. It's not working out well for most Americans. It's working out well for a handful of Americans. And at that point, we just need to be honest with ourselves and say, hey, this isn't working. We've got to fix this. It's got to be a more fair playing field. And I promise you, giving tax cuts to billionaires, drilling more oil, rounding up immigrants, and demonizing trans people, none of that is going to fix a single problem that we have. In fact, most of those will be a disaster. You want to get rid of immigrants? Okay, just say goodbye to some corporations. You want to cut taxes for billionaires? Great. Like, what's that going to do? We're still left with the same problem. Legitimately, nothing Republicans are proposing right now is going to fix any of this.
You want to get rid of immigrants? Like, talk about it though. Really, mass deportation of the 13 to 15 million people, however many it is. Let's talk about inflation and what will happen then, right? Our inflation has been ironed out by the labor provided by immigration. Like, that's a huge chunk of it. If we take away that labor and those job and the filling of those jobs, what happens to inflation? That's how I know Trump doesn't understand the economy, is the mass deportation talk.
Sorry about that.
Is that an AI?
That was someone was at my front door. Probably Amazon. Someone that's being underpaid, I guess.
There you go. That's right. Give him a snack, a bottle of water, or her. Sorry, I shouldn't have assumed it was a man.
All right. I'll keep listening to you guys.
All right, brother. It's good talking to you.
Have a good one.
You too.
He's a nice guy. I mean, maybe that's just in comparison to the other people we talked to. So maybe I'm, like, largely desensitized, but
Well, I think we're at, I honestly do think that we're at a point, like, remember, just think of the conversations we've had in the last week here. They've gotten consistently less crazy. We're having people who recognize, even those that are on the right, they're recognizing that this isn't working. And I think that if we can make a compelling argument that the reason it's not working is because we need the government to step in and make some changes, I think it's like, I don't think it's that hard to convince people of this. I think it's maybe a blessing in disguise that we have Donald Trump. I hate saying this because I've mocked people like Tim Pool for this over and over, but I've never felt like an election was more ripe for a landslide than we are now. And it takes just this kind of messaging. The messaging is overwhelmingly good. The messaging is pretty tough to break down. It's tough to beat. Tim Walz is the greatest example of how we should message. He's excellent at it, and it works on everybody. Again, there should be no
We
surprise.
saw it in person.
It was
I said we saw it in
Yeah.
person, but
It was
Tim
fucking
Walz is a
incredible.
force. It was scary. I thought we were at like a Schindler rally. You know what I mean? Like people were hypnotized by Tim Walz. I mean, in a good way. Like,
Yeah.
different message, but you know what I'm saying? Like, for as good as Tim Walz is on paper, what he's done, his record is amazing. But when you see him in person and he explains it to you, I mean, you believe it, you understand it, right?
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Last night we watched the richest man in the world interview a nepo baby whining criminal who, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the what the conservatives are supposed to relate to. These people can't relate to us. Like, there's more change in Elon Musk's couch than some of us will ever see in a lifetime. These people are so out of touch. They don't represent us or what's best for us as a collective. And that's what we need to understand. All they're looking for is to benefit themselves, to give themselves tax breaks. To Elon Musk talking about the federal government is spending too much while he is the ultimate welfare queen.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about welfare queens? It's not poor people. You can't live off SNAP money. Elon Musk is living off American welfare that from the federal government, talking about the federal government spending too much. Well, let's start with your subsidies. You don't need those.
And also, Felice has had a rough morning, so I want to apologize on behalf of her. Felice forgot that if you say Elon Musk's couch, that JD Vance, wherever he is, gets an erection. So for whoever's around JD Vance right now, that was Felice's fault, but give her a break. She had a rough morning. She forgot that that's how this worked. Sorry.
Very rough. I have something to read
sorry.
really quick. Oh, Kaner's
JT, I'm
gone,
pulling you out, but hold
um,
on one sec while she reads some comments.
yeah. I just want to say, Alyssa says, with school vouchers, the school chooses the students, not the other way around. Total scam. Rural schools will suffer the most. I was talking about this just a second on Friendly Fridays, but that's why I believe that school vouchers largely haven't taken hold in places like Texas, because of rural people and rural schools and football, right? Because of sports. But yeah, that's how I was. Like, because I was good at sports, then the school voucher program benefited me because they wanted me at that school. But if you don't have some redeeming quality or you're not smart, the school voucher program, you can't go to any school you want. I agree with that.
Any more comments? Or was that it?
One more. Then Tanya says, another reminder, it's okay to be the Trumpiest in public, but in the private voting booth, vote for your daughter's future. Amen, Tanya.
Oh, JT, good luck. I just was told that you're not opposition, so try and get it out as fast as you can before Jen boots you. Go for it.
If you want to come play Pinehurst #2, get up with me in the DMs. You can be my guest.
DM me. Let's talk. I'd love to.
I already did.
All right, thanks, brother.
Felice,
Appreciate
I'll
it.
treat you to the spa if you and Jen want to come out as well.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Awesome.
So,
All right.
yeah, get up with me in the DMs. I know you guys are busy till November, but you'll be my guest if you want to play Pinehurst #2.
Thank you, my friend. That's very generous. Appreciate
right.
it. We'll see it. Bobby.
I just wanted to read something that Bless added me and said, I just thought it was interesting. It says Snap accounts for were 1.19 billion in 2022, and Elon got 44 billion the same year in welfare. So imagine saying the federal government
It was
spending too
1.9?
much. 1.9 billion in
So
2022.
Elon got 22x.
1.19. No, wait, 1.19. So like 1.2.
So like 40x.
Yeah.
All right.
And imagine being the welfare queen of all welfare queens and getting 44 billion in a year from the US government and having the nerve to sit in a X space and say the federal government's spending too much.
This is I'll try, maybe I'll wear it tonight because I'm gonna be live with Jeffrey. We do have a welfare queen hoodie with a picture of Elon on it. If any of you are interested, you got to join the Discord and we can get you access to that. But we do have a hoodie that was designed by Ashley, which is fantastic. And it says welfare queen. It has a nice picture of Elon Musk with a crown and looking nice and frumpy.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. Tap, tap, tap.
Bobby.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, is this opposition only, or I don't know?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I say one thing before you kick me out?
You can try. I got my hands up, but Jen's quick. Hurry.
Okay, sorry, Jen, 1 second. Okay, I love you guys. Listen, I just found it interesting how when Rittenhouse, remember when he said that he wasn't going to vote for Scump, the first thing that Scump said was like, this guy's killed more people than I have. I feel like nobody's touched on.
He got out more than I expected.
Is that a joke? That's funny. I don't know if he was telling a joke, but Trump didn't say he's unalive more people than I have. But yeah, Scump is a funny name. I've never heard that, so I couldn't really get past Scump. I love Scump. I'm gonna have to say that a few more times. I like that. That's catchy. Yeah, the thing. I mean, the Rittenhouse thing. That not poor kid, never poor kid, because like, yeah, we could go into that, but other kids aren't given the same grace as Rittenhouse was given. But yeah, essentially he tried to say that he wasn't going to vote for Trump because Trump's record, this is another thing, like Kaner was up here saying, oh, Kamala takes both sides of issues, or she's pivoted on things. Well, what Rittenhouse's point was Trump's record on 2A is awful. Like, and on principle, he's going to write in Ron Paul because Trump's abysmal record of pivoting back and forth on 2A can't be trusted. And then he was bullied into changing his beliefs.
And just out of fairness, I've looked this up. That was based on a fake Donald Trump truth that said, sad to see Kyle Rittenhouse, who I supported after he unalived more people than me, literally has gone woke and didn't vote for me. It was not a real post.
Of course
by
he
Trump.
didn't.
Yeah.
Even for Trump, that would
good
be dumb.
rule of that's the hard part with Trump. In politics, a good rule of thumb is like, if it sounds crazy, it's probably not true. But with Trump, you never know. So I get it. But that appears to be false. All right. Well, box is empty. Do you have any other, what other stories should we cover?
Oh, I have many things I can cover. I have the best article that everybody should read. You guys are going to love this. You know how Trump's threatening to sue the New York Times or whatever?
Yeah.
I was reading the article, well, one of the articles this weekend, because there were many articles. It was over the helicopter crap, but one of the articles that Maggie Haberman wrote that really is pissing Trump off, it's called Inside the Worst 3 Weeks of Donald Trump's 2024 Campaign. And if I could just recommend anyone read any article, it is this one. Like, it's 16, or you can, this is one of the New York Times articles you can play too. So you can listen to it. It's 16 minutes, but it is earth shaking. So this ties in. Have you heard about Sheldon Adelson, like the billionaire? He's like a Vegas billionaire type.
Yeah, he's Treasure Island guy.
His ex-wife, like, runs a Republican PAC.
Yeah.
And Trump started sending her like threatening text messages or having one of his aides do it. Have you heard about all this? All this is detailed.
I've not heard any of this.
Trump has been melting down for 3 weeks. And so, yeah, so that's Article 10. We can put that in the Discord. 11 is a Daily Beast article called Manipulated Trump Blows Up Billionaire Mega Donor's Phone with Angry Text. That's what I'm talking about. That's Sheldon Adelson's ex-wife. I can't remember her first name, but she's an Adelson, right? Who runs this huge PAC, and they wanted her to give like millions to another PAC, which she wouldn't. And so Trump's having like aides like threaten her through text message. This is so wild.
Someone
but
is saying this is maybe
also
a widow and not an ex-wife. I don't know if Sheldon did he die? I don't know.
No, he's dead. Sheldon
Okay,
Adelson's
someone's
dead,
saying
but
maybe
it's
this
his
is his widow?
ex-wife.
Oh, it is,
It's
for
his
sure. Okay.
ex-wife. Yeah, like I don't think they were together. I'm pretty sure it's his ex. But yeah, and he's no longer with us as well. Yeah, he passed.
Okay. Is this Sandra
But
or Miriam?
I think the M sounds more
Miriam?
familiar to me.
Okay.
You can just click on the article in the outline.
Oh,
Then
sorry.
it
I
will,
was fact
it will
checking.
tell you who it is. It is. I'll tell. Anyways, let's see. It is. Yeah, it's Miriam Adelson. She runs the Preserve America PAC. Right. And it says in the Daily Beast article that it relates back to the New York Times article, but the New York Times article is super long. It's not just about Trump melting down and threatening Miriam Adelson. It's also about, like, did you guys hear them talking about in the JD, like Dana Bash was asking JD Vance on Sunday saying like, hey, it's rumored like at this billionaire fundraiser or whatever, they were asking Trump at a table about Democrats calling Republicans weird, and Trump's response was specifically like, "Oh no, it's JD that's weird,
It's
not me."
I'm not a weird one. They're talking about
And
that
this
guy.
story, Maggie Haberman's reporting on this. I see why Trump's mad at her. Like, it's just so many stories of Trump is unhinged and losing his mind. Like, it's hilarious. This is the article, I guess, that came out on Saturday that he then was like, I'm going to sue the New York Times. Sorry, I just find
I saw
it all
her interview.
hilarious.
She's like, he called about something else and then immediately moved into this and said he was going to sue me, like, even though she didn't write the story. Yeah, he's doing
Well,
great.
she wrote this. She wrote many of them. Like, she co-authors them. But yeah, this one she's a co-author on. And again, just to touch on 12, which I think we already put in the Discord, but again, this is the article that came out today about Harold Hamm. He is the oil and gas tycoon that is rallying the money for Trump in oil and gas. And it talks about, did you guys hear the rumor how like it was gonna be Doug Burgum, right? Doug Burgum is like an oil and gas billionaire who's like besties with Harold Hamm. Harold Hamm got Doug Burgum elected, and that's what this article is going through. It's saying that like Doug Burgum was who Harold Hamm wanted, and then they convinced him to do JD Vance, which Trump is obviously regretting at this point, I think. But I suggest all these articles because the more time that passes, like you can kind of see who the players are, where the money's coming from, who he's making promises to. And it seems like Harold Hamm is where all, how Trump keeps repeating, inflation will come down. We just it's about energy. It's about oil and gas. He's getting this all from Harold Hamm. Like Trump has been told, like, as long as you deregulate the oil and gas industry, that will solve the entire economy's issues. Forget the pandemic.
Why do all right-wing heroes sound like alternative names for like the characters in the game Clue? Like we got Harold Hamm, Leonard Leo,
Colonel Mustard,
Elon Musk. Yeah, like how come
in
all
the conservatory with the lead pipe?
That's right. While we're on, are you still covering that? I have some other things to cover that's related.
No, go ahead.
I was going back through, one of the things I like doing is going back and looking how Trump responded to accusations in his past. Because there's a direct correlation to the past and the present in that he always just blames people. So I found this from the American Bar Association, the Journal of Media, Information and Communications Law it's a publication of the Forum on Communications Law from the American Bar Association. It's titled Donald J. Trump is a libel bully, but he's also a libel loser. And I highlighted some things I just wanted to cover. So
libel is written slander, if you don't know.
Bingo. Donald Trump is a libel bully. Like most bullies, he's also a loser, to borrow from Trump's vocabulary. Trump and his companies have been involved in a mind-boggling 4,000 lawsuits over the last 30 years and sent countless threatening cease and desist letters to journalists and critics. The first one that they covered happened in 1984. This is Trump, who filed his first, and they call it crankiest, libel lawsuit in 1984 against the Chicago Tribune and the newspaper's Pulitzer Prize-winning architecture critic Paul Gapp. Pulitzer Prize winner here. So good. Most people would say good journalist. Trump filed his libel lawsuit and claimed he suffered $500 million in damages. Now, that sounds serious. Let me just tell you why he's upset. Gap, who won the Pulitzer Prize for his criticism in 1979, dared to publish a design column in the Sunday Tribune magazine on August 12th, ridiculing Trump's proposal to build the tallest building in the world, a 150-story, nearly 2,000-foot tall skyscraper on a landfill at the southeast end of Manhattan. Sorry, I'm getting cotton mouth. Gap wrote that Trump's planned office tower was one of the silliest things anyone could inflict on New York or any other city, and kind of a Guinness Book of World Records architecture. Gap's column said the only remotely appealing aspect of Trump's planned office tower was that it would not be done in the fence post style of the 1970s. The architect critic slammed the already built Trump Tower as a skyscraper offering condos, office space, and kitschy shopping atrium of blinding flamboyance. Trump did not win that lawsuit.
Shocking. There's a chap that's part of what his book's about. That's what was revealed in the hush money trial. That like they literally used excerpts of Trump's book explaining like, yeah, you just got to sue people. You just got to refuse to pay people. Like this is how you show your dominance in business. Like his best business practice are just when in doubt, file a lawsuit, even if you have no standing.
Yeah. So the judge was named Judge Weinfeld. And this was his response, giving Trump a lesson in the First Amendment and politics. He said, men in public life must accept as an incident of their service harsh criticism, oftentimes unfair and unjustified, at times false and defamatory. And this is particularly so when their activities or performance may stir deep controversy. De gustibus nonest disputandum, there is no disputing about tastes. So that's how that went away. Then this time, this is 20 years later at a New Jersey state court. Trump alleged a whopping $5 billion in damages for what must be a very serious crime. And I think you talked about this, in his libel lawsuit against book author Timothy O'Brien and his book publisher Time Warner Book. Trump's lawsuit claimed that O'Brien's 2005 book, Trump Nation, The Art of Being the Donald, falsely reported that Trump was only worth between 150 and 250 million, nowhere near the net worth claimed by Trump, which ranged, this was my favorite, which ranged from 4 billion to 5 billion to 6 billion to 9.5 billion. And there's citations for all of these within like a year where he just said these different numbers. Trump and his accountant were their own worst enemies in their depositions. The accountant who prepared Trump's statement of financial condition, which we talked a lot about in that New York case, admitted at the deposition that he never once verified whether Trump had been honest in listing all his debts and liabilities for the accountant's report. And that's what Trump provided to the book owner. This is a question from that deposition to Trump. Now, Mr. Trump, have you always been truthful in your public statements about your net worth or properties? I try. Have you ever been not truthful? My net worth fluctuates and it goes up and down with the markets and with attitudes and feelings, even my own feelings, but I try. Let me just understand that a little bit. Let's talk about that for a second. You said that the net worth goes up and down based on your feelings, Trump? Yes.
I'm
It's
not
just a
surprised.
yes.
Yeah. He's worth
lost
however
that
much
one.
he feels like being worth.
Well, let's see if I can go to the next one. Sorry, I had this. Where was the Miss Pennsylvania one? There's one from Miss Pennsylvania. Essentially, the one in Miss Pennsylvania, she accused Trump of rigging the Miss USA pageant, saying that before the pageant, somebody showed her who the top 5 were going to be. And this was my favorite part. This is something I had never heard before. Let me see. Where was it? Where is it? Okay, here it is. While waiting in the wings during the telecast, Monin claims that another contestant confided that she had seen a list of 5 finalists. The next day, Monin told her agents she was resigning from her post as 2012 Miss Pennsylvania because it was rigged. And because she did not agree, are you listening to this part? She did not agree with
She did
Donald
not
Trump's
agree.
pageant's decision to allow transgendered contestants. Donald Trump, at one point in the Miss US Universe pageant, allowed transgendered contestants.
I know. There's a documentary on Hulu about this. Yeah.
I didn't
Did
know
you guys
that.
know that? Talk about Trump flip-flopping on people. Yeah, he allowed transgender contestants. This is the guy that says men need to stay out of women's sports. Like, nothing Trump does makes any sense.
And then the last one I want to do is Trump sued Bill Maher. Do you know about this? This is my favorite
I've heard
lawsuit.
about it. I don't know the specifics.
He sued for $5 million because during Bill Maher's show, Bill Maher said he would donate, and this was during the birtherism time. So Trump's going around saying Barack Obama's not born in America. And Bill Maher said he would donate $5 million to charity if the orange-haired and orange-tinged Trump could provide a birth certificate showing that Trump was not the spawn of his mother having sex with an orangutan. And Trump's team,
My God.
and Trump's team sent him the birth certificate saying, does it say orangutan? And then they tried to sue him for $5 million for that joke. But that just made me so happy when I read that. I won't go through the rest of them. Anyways, I'll read that one more time. $5 million to charity if the orange-haired and orange-tinged Trump could provide a birth certificate showing that Trump was not the spawn of his mother having sex with an orangutan. That's tough.
I'm just looking through the George Stephanopoulos. I was just checking how much he's trying to sue George Stephanopoulos and ABC News for. This is ridiculous. I don't know.
There's some other ones in here. Trump. Anyway, the point is that Trump historically has done the exact same thing every time he's criticized. He sues people, and some of this stuff's funny. Like, a lot of this stuff's funny, but the truth of the matter is, most of the people he sued, they weren't able to protect themselves. They wound up, many of them,
People go
going bankrupt. Yeah, they
it's
couldn't
awful.
afford the fees to litigate. They're giving us some examples here of people who fought back against Trump, but all of them had financial backers. All of them had either an organization they worked for with lawyers on retainer, or somebody stepped in and paid for the litigation. And Trump, in this article and in his book, says that. He says, look, if you don't like what somebody says about you, sue them and they'll shut up. Because most people don't have the money to fight back against you, so they'll just shut up.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. And he puts people out of business, bankrupts them. Like, it's actually tragic. It's quite sad. Can I talk? Speaking of lawsuit, I actually have a good lawsuit. I mean, I don't like litigation, but no, this is good. This is out of Texas, which, I mean, this is what we need, is litigation to change what's going on in Texas for women. This is number 7 in the outline. It's just came out today. This is women claim Texas hospitals denied them abortions for ectopic pregnancies. This is a case study of women who have been damaged or almost died and were refused care, right? They needed emergency, imminent care because of ectopic pregnancies and were denied care in Texas hospitals.
What number did you say again? One more time.
It's 7. I believe I said 7.
Thank you.
Women claim Texas hospitals denied them abortions for ectopic pregnancies. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I've heard of these cases. I hadn't previously heard of these cases. In a complaint to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Kylie Thurman said that in February 2023, Ascension Seton Williamson, that's a Catholic hospital if I've ever heard of one, hospital in Round Rock, Texas, discharged her without treating her ectopic pregnancy or even transferring her to another hospital. It denied her treatment again when she returned days later. That's what's tragic about this. These are people who were going from doctor to doctor, hospital to hospital, trying to get care from ectopic pregnancies and being denied, discharged, and even these hospitals refusing them to refusing to transfer them to someone else's care. The delay caused her fallopian tube to rupture, she said. According to the complaint, the hospital treated her only after her OBGYN pleaded with staff to provide the necessary care. For weeks, I was in and out of emergency rooms trying to get the abortion that I needed to save my future fertility and life. Yeah, this is like powerful, important stuff, which, this is tragic, but I don't want to be like, hey, these great case studies for debates, but that's what this is about, right? Like moving this cause forward. Like the most tragic thing about what's happening to women is that people, I feel like crying, but that people's fertility is being damaged. People are going to die for this cause.
Yeah, and where are the people? Well, I know where they are. They don't fucking care. But this idea of oftentimes, like when you're talking about should trans people exist with Republicans, they say like, oh, it changes your body forever. Like, where's the help here? Where's the help here? These people don't want their body to change forever. They don't want these things to happen to them. And in Republican states, they're like, yeah, sorry, you should have been born with a penis. It would have went better. And true. It would have been better for you if you were born with a penis. That would have been a lot easier. This is part of the reason, though, that I think that this election is ripe for a big, massive swing. In my lifetime, we've never had an issue that was so one-sided. Like the American people overwhelmingly support the access to abortion, at least up until 15 weeks. I think Lindsey Graham's proposal was 20 weeks, wasn't it? Wasn't his up to 20 weeks?
Lindsey Graham, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was 20 weeks. But yeah, like even people like
He's a
that,
real pro-lifer. Like he attacked Trump's position on abortion.
Yeah.
Because Lindsey Graham's a full like life at conception person. Like his argument was, how my argument would be states' rights is bad because regardless of where you're born, women should have bodily autonomy, right?
Yeah.
His argument is people in unborn babies in blue states shouldn't die just because they're they're in California, kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's a true pro-lifer.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was 20 weeks. But again, nobody wants what the Republicans were doing. I went back, by the way, and I checked Trump's speeches from 2015. He was absolutely saying this. And I was surprised. I never heard Trump say to send the decision back to the states, but I did find some Trump loyalists and people who were campaigning for him who did say that. So Donald Trump absolutely ran on this in 2016, and it was effective. It was a mainstay in his speeches. It was effective, but we've shifted since then. And that, again, like you look at a place like Texas, you see Ted Cruz versus Corbin Allred. We see what's happening in Texas. I've never heard anybody come up here and defend Colin. What did I say? Corbin?
Corbin? I like that name.
I know somebody named Corbin Allred. Sorry, that's why. But you don't hear people from Texas coming up and defending this position. That's why I think some of these races where abortion is a mainstay, even Florida, that's on the ballot. I think some of these states are ripe. Montana has abortion on the ballot. I think we're going to see a big change here. And if Republicans lose, they have a weird choice before them. They either double down on this and shrink, or they have to completely reverse their position on abortion. And I don't know if the leadership in the Republican Party is capable of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I suggest everyone read this article, read the court documents and what these women are alleging. But again, yeah, this is just proof there are no exceptions for rape, for incest. Like, we can't get people to believe we were raped now, right? Hospital officials can't litigate that, right? And similarly with imminently, someone who's going through an ectopic pregnancy, I don't know what is more emergent than that. There's allegedly EMTALA laws, federal laws that guarantee women care in emergency rooms. Can't get it.
Yeah, going through there, is there any statement from the hospital of why she was discharged?
Oh yeah, it's disturbing. No, they just are like, we believe that we did. Here, an Ascension spokesperson said, quote, "While we cannot speak to the specifics of this case at this time, Ascension is committed to providing quality care to all who seek our services." Texas Health did not immediately respond to a quest for comment. It told the Post in February that the hospital's top priority is providing our patients with safe, high quality care. Like what they're betting on, you know what I'm saying? They're just worried about liability. They're literally basically saying, we'll pay the malpractice suit. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
carry enough insurance. We're going to let women die. We're going to let women's fertility be compromised. We're going to damage women's bodies. And we'll just pay whatever we wager in court a human life is worth.
That's yeah. The way that we speak about that, the fact that they had a spokesperson and that they speak in such generalities when these are literally lives on the line. It's disgusting. It's why we hate the healthcare industry. They have to say those types of things to avoid litigation, and it's frankly disgusting. By the way, we haven't announced it for a while, but this live is being live broadcast on YouTube as well, and the replays are over there. So if there's anything you missed today, you can catch the replay there. I'm working on putting this in a podcast form. I probably will have that up next week, where you guys will be able to get this on Spotify or
Cool.
Apple or wherever. You can just get the audio. A reminder above Felice's head, that's our Venmo and our Cash App. We do rely on the generosity of our viewers to fund this. And so if you do want to make a comment or just send a donation, send it there. We'll read virtually anything that you send to either one of those. And if you'd like an invitation to our Discord, which is a good place to make fun of me, but also we make that joke all the time. I've had so many people reach out to me after joining the Discord and say, I've been in a bunch of Discords before. They're always just full of drama. They're always just full of people arguing. Like your Discord is our Discord, the people that are active on there, they're talking about real issues. They're sharing their experiences. They're sharing disagreements with each other. They're fact checking. They're providing sources. They're sharing lives that might interest you. They're sharing new content creators. It's just a really good place to go with like-minded people. So if you want an invitation to the Discord, shoot myself or any of the moderators a message, but I can't recommend it enough. And that's based mostly on just the feedback that I get from people who have joined and say, like, this is a great place.
No, I could not agree more. And I was just going to say, highly intelligent. I'm always shocked by the level of intelligence and the conversations going on in the Discord. And Christine says, thank you for your dedication to getting us the correct information and all the research you do. And Janice says, for honesty and intelligence, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it more than you know. And I just wanted to finish the quote because I just recognized I didn't finish the whole quote from Texas Health, one of the companies that denied one of these women care. It says, quote, treatment decisions are individualized based on a patient's clinical condition, and we believe the care provided to the patient in this case was appropriate. It's sickening.
That's a wild thing to say, given what actually happened. That's wild to say that was appropriate.
If they say anything else, they're admitting fault. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? I used to work in the tech industry where it's like you can't admit fault. It's sickening. We're talking about people's lives.
Turn Texas Blue, by the way, is trending on Twitter. I'm not sure. Let's see. And here's a stat. This is from, it says Harris-Walz are not only winning the race for the White House, they're putting states in play that were once written off. In 2012, Obama lost Texas by 16%. In 2016, Clinton lost Texas by 9%. So that's a 7-point swing. And in 2020, Biden lost Texas by 5.5%. We're 7-point swing, then a 3.5-point swing. We are one swing away from Texas going blue. Florida, the same thing. Maybe this is a good time to go over some of these numbers, actually. I didn't add this to the outline, but I went back to 2012 and I looked at exit polling, and I just wanted to point out a couple of places where I think that it's possible that Vice President Harris does really well in places we're not talking about. So in 2012, Obama won 51% of the votes. Romney got 47. With men, Obama actually carried the men. 45 to 52, or excuse me, Romney carried the men, but Obama was closer at 45. Women, Obama carried 55 to 44. White white people was 39% of the vote to Obama, 59 to Romney. 93% African American vote, 71% Hispanic, 73% Asian. And these numbers were actually outliers. A lot of these numbers were higher than normal, specifically with Hispanics and Asians. And then you get down to educated women. Those numbers were higher for Obama. And people obviously weren't as excited about Hillary or Joe Biden, but there are places where Harris is uniquely positioned to make a run. And those places happen to be in Ohio, in Texas, and in Florida. Like those three states, if you go look at the demographics, they haven't changed that much. But what happened is the support for people not named Obama really fell off in all of those states. And we could potentially see that here with Harris. This is that same type of energy. This is more energy than Hillary had. It's more energy than Biden had. We have a different type of energy. I don't know that we could compare it to Obama. I don't know that we'll ever see anything like that. But there are some places where she's going to make up some ground, and we could, again, potentially see Texas, Florida, Ohio in play.
I think you just remember it differently because you were working on Mitt's campaign and the Obama energy overtook you.
Well, it was just.
But the only thing we can compare, I'm just saying, the only thing we can compare what is going on with the Kamala campaign is to what Obama did in 2008. And I don't want to bring up she wore a tan suit on when we were there. Kamala Harris pulled off a tan suit in a way that Barack Obama never could. It was amazing. Yeah, she definitely had the tan suit energy going on. She also has adopted his cadence. I mean, I do think it's not probably comparable, but it is the only comparison I think we can make.
But there are some other similarities. Like when I was working for Romney, where we felt it the most was on the ground. Everywhere we went, we were outnumbered by Obama people. And we were in Iowa. Iowa's another weird state. I was looking at the changing demographics there. Brain drain. That's like a real problem in these Midwestern states. But you just, everywhere you went, they were a little bit better. We're having record numbers of people that are volunteering for Harris. I think it was like 50,000 in a day.
Insane. No, yeah, it was insane. Hundreds of thousands of people are volunteering. Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
Those ground operations are largely run by either the people that ran Obama's ground teams or proteges of people that were on that team. This is a true grassroots organization. This truly is a place where like it's spreading, and the Republicans don't have that. I asked my friend who's a political advisor, Trump doesn't seem to have any ground game. In 39 states,
there is none.
In 39 states, they don't have an office.
Because they don't believe in a collective, though. Can I just say that?
Right.
And I don't want to say, like, I've long said this, the Democratic Party is fueled by Black women, right? And their ability to community organize. It's like a thankless, silent job they usually do. But what I believe we're seeing with Kamala Harris is there's no group of people that community organize like Black women do. And they are now fueling. That's why you saw instantly Black women for Harris. That was the community organizing. That is the grassroots community organizing capability of Black women. That's what you saw. And look how many millions of dollars just that one thing that they're able to do out of nowhere provides. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing grassroots community organizing. You're seeing a clinic being put on by grassroots community organizers. And it's also, like, I'll say this, it's also easy to community organize when people have somebody to coalesce and be excited around. And she's providing that. It's the same thing with Obama.
Yeah, and making all the right choices. Joe Biden was a brilliant choice for VP. Tim Walz, a brilliant choice for VP. Like, she's making all the right moves. To me, it just like you're seeing a groundswell here, and obviously it's different conditions because Obama ran like a full campaign, and it's yet to be seen how effective this ground game is. But Romney had a ground game. Romney had a plan. Romney had people out there. Romney had people out knocking doors. Romney had Karl Rove at his side with every bit of information he possibly could, and he was running that ground game, and he still lost. Romney was a very popular Republican candidate. Republicans were really excited about Romney. Maybe not in the same way as 2016 Trump, but they were excited enough that they were going out and they were volunteering their time to put in ground operations. And at the end of that campaign, after all that work, they said, we don't want to let this energy go away. So we got to keep the ground game, but let's also have a post-mortem and let's talk about some of our messaging, look at the exit polls and figure out how we could tweak our messaging to be more appealing in a general election. And they threw that all away. So with Trump in 2016, and then he has, for anybody who thinks Trump in 2016 and Trump 2024 are the same, no, he has, what am I trying to, he's
a shell of the man he used to be.
Yeah, he's devolving. Like he's completely devolved into, now what we're left with is just like the thoughts that are running through his mind. Like
bitter.
He can't hide it anymore. He can't disguise it. He's not good at pretending. I don't want people to feel comfortable, and I'm not an expert on this.
Let's not feel comfortable.
From my experience and what I'm looking at, this is a massive movement that is growing. Every week the polls get better. Every week the indicators are getting better, and it's sustainable. We don't have that many weeks left. Like, this is actually sustainable.
Exactly. Like, as Tim Walz said at that rally, we can do anything for 88 days. We'll sleep when we're dead. And I could not agree more. But also, like, think about it. And what Kamala is pushing at these rallies is a lot of hope. Hope is a hell of a drug. We saw it with Obama. I'm high on it right now. But it's also we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, the struggle to turn Arizona blue, like, I was born in Phoenix. If you would have told me we would have ever made it to the point we're at now, I would have never believed it. So, like, it's not like we are the underdogs. That's what Kamala says at these rallies. That's what she's telling people. Like, we've been the underdogs, we are the underdogs, but like, we are a collective, and the power of the collective is going to drag this over the line. It's pretty inspiring.
There you go. Well done. You got through that sentence. Yeah.
Well, I've had a really rough morning.
I know. I was feeling that. I was applauding that. Ricky says RTP Talks is made possible by viewers like you. That's the PBS thing, I think. I like that. I didn't have cable growing up, so PBS was my cartoons. And then Sully just said, just because I love you guys. Sully, we love you too. Shout out Boston, and shout out 49ers, and shout out Dallas Mavericks. That's what he said. Those are all his words. Big Boat, I see you in there.
That's gonna make you nervous. Oh, Big Boat's here.
There's 15 minutes left. Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in the box for the last 15 minutes, you're welcome.
Oh wait, Liz says there is a unique chemistry between RTP and Felice. Thanks for your hard work you both put in. Thanks, Liz.
It's called like trauma bonding. I think it's called trauma bonding. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, my mom likes Felice more than me. My mom hasn't met Felice. Mom, if you're here,
we're going on vacation.
I'm tired of it. But yeah, my mom likes Felice way more than me. It's bullshit.
Chris says, I'm excited for Doug to be the first gentleman. Me too. What do you think he will choose to do at his new role? I hope he decorates the White House. I know. I hope he does the Christmas decorations. I hope he like really embraces it, you know, like creates like a cigar lounge and invites other kept men there to hang out. Do
Christmas Vacation and just obnoxious lights everywhere. First of all, isn't it great that potentially the first gentleman is like the most generic white dude name ever too? Like Doug. If you could have chosen a generic white dude's name, Doug is the one. But I hope, yeah,
he's like a partner in a huge corporate law firm. Like this, he's no like random person, just to be clear. Like he's an extremely intelligent, accomplished lawyer. But yes, he's a kept man now. He should garden. He should do all the ridiculous things that first ladies have to do. Like he will organize the Easter egg hunt. You know, just all the dumb shit that even I'll give it to Melania. Melania's like, all this is bullshit. And I don't want to be doing any of this. And it's true. And now Doug Emhoff will do all those things while we all watch.
Doug's going to put in...
Beekeeping. Oh, beekeeping would be great. Like on the West Lawn.
We're going to have Frisbee golf now. We're going to have pickleball courts.
It's all the white dudes for Harris activities.
I just was told it's Sully's birthday. Happy birthday, Sully.
Happy birthday, Sully. You just got back from a lake house. You don't need a birthday.
And Stephanie, I see you in there. Or just make sure your opposition, whoever wants the last 10 minutes.
I have a
Yes.
couple of things to read. That was a good one about Doug. Jennifer says, "You are so valued and your voice is so important. Thank you for what you do." Felicia, my doppelganger, says, "I love listening to you both. Tell RTP the 49ers are amazing. LOL, been a fan since I was a little girl."
Bang,
49ers
bang.
fans are lifers.
Can I tell you a good story about the 49ers? My hero growing up was Steve
Nope.
Young.
No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
too fucking bad. My hero growing up was Steve Young, and I picked all my sports teams based on if they had a player that was from BYU that was on that team. So I was a Mavericks fan because of
I'm
Sean
not
Bradley,
surprised to hear that.
the 7'6"
I like
monstrosity.
Sean Bradley.
Did you know that he's paralyzed now? He got hit by a car when he was riding his bike a couple years ago.
What?
Yeah,
I did not
yeah.
know that. That's
Yeah.
sad.
It's very sad. Also, the wheelchair manufacturers had to be like, "What? I don't know how you miss a 7'6" person on a bike," but that's neither here nor there. So that's how I picked my teams. But I don't know if you want to call it a godfather, just somebody that really looked out for me. He was the head athletic trainer at BYU, but before that, he was the head athletic trainer with the Los Angeles Express, which was the United States Football League, which was like a competitor to the NFL. Trump owned a team in the USFL.
Didn't Trump like run it into? Isn't Trump part of the reason that did
part
it
of it.
work out?
Yeah, it's part of it. But anyway, Steve Young was drafted to that team, and he got to know my friend George, who has sadly passed away. But George would always take care of me. And when I first got into collecting sports cards, I bought this like side by side. It was Steve Young and Jerry Rice. It was two separate cards, and I was like, "Do you think you could get Steve to sign this?" He's like, "Yeah." So Steve came into the offices in Provo, and they gave him that thing. They gave him those cards to sign, and instead of signing it and giving it back, he waited until training camp. Got to training camp, got Jerry Rice to sign it too, and then sent it back to me along with a bunch of other stuff. So that guy, Steve Young, is a uniquely good person, and that's why I will always be a 49ers fan.
Yeah, those are pretty good guys, Steve Young and Jerry Rice. That actually are pretty good guys. Jennifer
Steve Young is largely
says,
responsible also for whatever level of acceptance the Mormon Church has given to LGBTQ people. That's largely due to Steve Young. He married a wonderful woman who has a brother who's gay, and during all that, what was that called in Prop 101?
it was
I
Title
think?
8. It was
No,
Prop 8.
something.
Prop 8?
Whatever
it was
in
8.
8, sure.
It was 8.
Whatever it
Yeah.
was in California, he was very outspoken, and he has largely driven well, his wife, but they've largely driven the attempts for more acceptance in the Mormon Church. So shout out
The
to
chat says
Steve
Prop
Young.
8, and they're never wrong. It's
They aren't.
crowdsourcing. Jennifer, thank you so much for your donations. She said, I don't need it out loud. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna say exactly what happened to me, but you guys know how like every morning at 3:30 I like run or walk, just and do the outline and stuff. Yeah, just something scary happened to me while I was running outside this morning. That's what happened. Stacy says, appreciate you guys so much. For Jay, Niners are gross. There you see, then there you have it.
That hurts my feelings. What's gross about? Well, all right, that's fair. Sometimes they're
Grossly funded. They're well.
Also, I would like to say that
grossly overfunded.
The 49ers largely helped radicalize me and move me to the left, because remember during all this like Trump taking over, this was also the Colin Kaepernick era, and I loved Colin Kaepernick. If you went down into like my office, I have a bunch of Colin Kaepernick memorabilia, and I think because I already loved Colin Kaepernick, I was able to take what was happening and not just hear like the media. All my friends hated him. Everybody in my family hated him, and I was able to see through that. I was able to see that like he was just trying to do the right thing, that everything he did was going to be, no matter what he did, it was going to be wrong, that there's a big problem. That was the first time, this is sad to say, first time I understood, oh shit, there's systemic racism. Right? That was my first foray into, oh, systemic racism is real. When we heard Colin Kaepernick, who has said himself, like, yeah, it didn't really happen to me, but there's a lot of people that look like me that it happened to. And that was kind of my first introduction to that. So we can credit the 49ers for radicalizing me as well.
I'll say I had Colin Kaepernick all wrong because I was just annoyed. I was like, oh God, another like Jim Harbaugh sycophant. Like I was sort of annoyed with him at the beginning, and then I was like, and where did he go to Stanford? I was like, oh
No,
God,
Nevada.
another like, Oh yeah, he did go
Harbaugh
to
was the
Reno,
coach at
Nevada,
Stanford.
Reno, right? Did he go
Yeah.
to Reno or you?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Harbaugh was the coach at Stanford, so I was just like, oh god, another like Jim Harbaugh like sycophant. We're gonna have to watch like come up, and then I was like completely wrong about him. So sorry, Colin.
Let's see, Jen, I see you. We're about to raid. Let me check the comments one more time. I am going to be with the artist formerly known as Jeffrey. I owe him one. I bailed last Friday so we could go to the Kamala rally, and I don't regret that one bit. Not one bit at all, but I'll be there with Jeffrey tonight. And he texted me this morning. I don't know what it means, but he said, be ready. He said it's going to be I think maybe off the rails. So I don't know if Jeff
Did you
has
give
something
him your
planned.
phone number?
No, he messaged me on TikTok. Sorry, I shouldn't have said
Okay,
text.
because that's
Very
when
few-
I'll know
yeah.
that you're really in a relationship with Jeff. Like,
Very few
serious.
people have my phone number. I am very guarded about that. I would say a handful of people on TikTok, and maybe some people that catfish also.
It's
might
not
have
that
my
great,
number.
everyone.
It's not. It's
disappointing.
not. I'm a terrible texter. I don't. I'll not text back for weeks at a time. You don't. I'm not a person you want to communicate with that way. Anything else?
No, I think we're good. I think this has been good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
And
bring.
you have hours to go.
I do.
More
just
of this.
Just a reminder, the replay is on YouTube. You can find our replays there. While you're there, subscribe, like a video. That helps us a great deal. You can also find myself on Instagram and the Twitter X. You can find me those links are in my bio. If you want to invite to the Discord, shoot myself. Here's Jen, lovely Jen, or any of our moderators a direct message, and we will get you that link. By the way, if you want to get in the Discord quickly, I'm the last person you should message because it will not be quick. But Jen's also here to.
In fairness, I see Jay's messages and I try to reply to them if I see them in there. So.
Yeah, and also know if you send
Don't
something
send
crazy to
nudes.
me, Jen reads my messages, so be careful with that.
Funny, someone did say, I don't know if you saw this, someone sent a message to you saying that Jen scares me. Jen scares
Didn't see
me.
that.
So can I have a link to or an invite to the Discord? And I wrote back, well, this is Jen. Here you go.
That sucks. So anyways, yeah, send a message to Jen. We are going to raid our good friend Jovan. It's at
A real
Jovan Bradley,
communist.
an actual communist. That's true. Head on over to see Jovan. Tell him that we sent you, and I'll see you guys in 3 hours over with Jeffrey.